Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. So, I'm more than certain everybody's wondering who the special guest is, which is why the first scene that we're looking at here is a little bit different. Well, let me introduce you to my special guest.
Hi everyone, it's Zelda, Chris's cat's long lost relative.
You've seen him in my live chats. Now he's here in my home. Tony, the silent assassin, Robles. Thank you so much for being here, Tony.
Everyone. I approached Chris several months ago about the possibility of doing some pool clinics here in Austin. So I have one lined up for this Sunday, an advanced clinic at Skinny Bob's from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and then a beginner intermediate clinic at Betsy's Billiards from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. So I say, hey, since I'm going to be here, why don't we do a couple of streams and maybe I can help you on your road to 100 and help you all out there. But the major reason I did this, honestly, is because I truly respect what Chris has done for the pool community in such a short period of time. And he's done a tremendous job. He's built up a big following, and he's had people even like Bob Keller come in, who I think Bob is unbelievable, amazing. Bob just reached 10,000 subscribers the other day.
Yep.
And so I'm very happy for you, Bob. And I think that you've given a lot or a ton of great advice to Chris, which why he is currently at 79 and ran 58 yesterday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes,
correct?
I did get a 58 during yesterday's live stream on live. The first time I finally got over 50 on a live stream.
Yeah.
So that was amazing. So it's such a pleasure to have you here. And so this is going to be a little different. I am going to be making high run attempts, but they're going to be way more instructional than when I'm just trying to make high run attempts.
Right.
But before we get to that, Tony, I'm not sure if everybody that's currently watching, which by the way, I see that there are 36 people in here and I've only got 7 likes. So if you haven't done so already,
smash that like button, guys.
Exactly. Smash that thumbs up button for
and gals.
We would really appreciate it. So that way, hopefully, other people can see what we're doing here. But maybe not everybody in the chat here knows who you are. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's go back to how long have you been playing pool and what got you started.
Well, I've been playing pool for 43 years now, Chris. You can believe that. I'm 56. I started when I was 13. My dad took me to a pool hall. He used to gamble $300 a set, and that was back then. And I was 13 years old, so that was a lot of money back then. And I was mesmerized as every time they hit that ball and it made that popping sound in the pocket or booming, boom. I said, wow, that sounds super cool. I want to try to do that. So I tried to do it, and of course I failed miserably, but I got interested or became interested in the game. A gentleman saw how interested I was, and he gave me a Steve Miserak book, instructional book. I read the entire thing that night. I didn't go to sleep till 3 a.m. knowing full well I had to go to school the next day. Obviously, my mom didn't know about it. If not, I'd get in trouble. I was just 13, and the following day I was practicing side spin. I didn't know what I was doing, but that's what I saw in the book, so I figured I'd give it a shot, you know. But yeah, that's basically how I got started, and then, you know, I was allowed to play once a week while I was in school, as long as I had good grades. And then once I graduated high school, my dad owned a pool hall by then. He had one for 17 years in Brownsville, Brooklyn, actually, where Mike Tyson grew up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was that's why eventually he had to close. It was pretty bad there. But anyway, I practiced 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for 2.5 consecutive years.
And so was it, my next question is going to be, because you say for 2 consecutive years, was that when you decided to go pro?
You know, not really. I never had the intentions of going pro, but someone motivated me to become better. There was this one local player that he was an amazing 9-ball player, broke and ran most of the time. And I asked him if he could do me a favor and play some racks with me. And he said, yeah, just rack him up. But he said in a cocky way. Right? So I said, okay, I'm just happy you're playing with me. I racked the balls. He broke, ran out. He says, rack the balls again. Just like that. And he broke, didn't make a ball. I missed a shot. He said, yeah, you're no good. And he ran the ball. So then when he beat me the following rack after I missed another shot, he says, you completely suck. You're no good at all. You're never going to become anything in this game. That's exactly what he told me.
Really?
And he got me upset. I was 13 years old, so I didn't know what to say. So I got aggressive with him. I had never gotten aggressive with anyone. And my dad happened to walk in because he went out to the store to get some stuff. And when he came back, he saw me going a little off at him. You know, I was a kid. I'm 13 years old. And he punished me. He didn't let me play pool for 2 months. And those 2 months, I hated this guy, right? And believe it or not, from that moment on, for the next 5 years, this is going to sound crazy. I think that's why they should have given me the name, the Silent Assassin, the nickname that I have on the tour. But, you know, I got that much later on when I was playing 95 in the World Championships. But anyway, for the next 5 years, I pictured his face on every ball that I shot.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I was determined. And he disappeared because he was also a national handball champion. And, you know, he was the best in New York. So he dedicated himself to that, started going on tour. 5 years later, he comes into my dad's pool hall, and I said, just like that, true story. I beat him 20 out of 21 games. He walked out the door, stormed out the door, never saw him again.
Nice.
And you know, the saddest part about that is about 2 years ago, I tried to get in touch with him. And I reached out to him when finally someone told me how I can find him to thank him. Because if he hadn't done what he did when I was that young, who knows if I would have gotten to the level that I did. For sure. So, you know, now I'm currently sponsored. Well, I've been sponsored by Predator for 22 years. I'm playing on most of their tour stops. I won't be in Germany, but I'll be in Canada, Ohio, Michigan, and Puerto Rico. And I also do commentary for the Predator, you know, the U.S. Pro Billiard Series, along with CSI. So I'm having a blast. I do it with Mark White and George Teixeira. So if you're out there listening, hi guys. And you know, that's where I'm at this point in time. My house is currently under demolition mode because we're going to be building a brand new master bedroom, garage, family room, and a pool room / home theater for me. So I'll end up doing some videos too with the help of Chris and all the good people. But more importantly, I also think that it's extremely important to join forces and collaborate, not so much for our benefit, but for the pool community so that we can grow the game as a whole. So once again, Chris, I thank you for all the hard work that you put in, and you know, Bob Keller for helping you, and anyone else, Charivari, you're amazing. I think that you're doing fantastic work. all you YouTubers. Neil's fan, he's a good buddy of mine. So you guys keep up the good work and, do some more collaborations. I highly recommend them. You'd be surprised how much you can grow the game that way and how much you can learn from each other to improve your channels as well on top of that.
That's awesome. I have a Miguel Martinez wants to know when in Puerto Rico.
On November 14th through the 20th, a Predator is going to hire me because I normally do commentary for the matches with Mark White, but since it is in Puerto Rico and I do speak both languages, they're going to be televising this. I believe it's live. I'm not 100% sure of that. It's going to be the first time in the history of Puerto Rico that they're going to have any type of world championship. It's going to be the World 8-Ball Championship. So he hired me to do commentary in Spanish for one of the top 3 television stations in Puerto Rico. So I'm pretty excited about that opportunity, and I'm going to try my best to make everyone proud.
That's awesome. So we heard you say that you're sponsored by Predator. One kind of gear are you carrying?
Right now I'm playing with an older Icon. Let me come over here, give you an idea. This one is no longer made. I absolutely love this cue. I don't know if you can see it here. Let me take it apart so that way you can see it. It has a turquoise, has a black bottom. Of course, I have this for the extension. And I'm actually have been playing for the past 5 years because I actually got a prototype of this about 4 or 5 years ago, and I fell in love with it, with the C8 that stands for Chinese 8-Ball, but it's also CC, which stands for Carbon Core, made by Predator, sold mostly in Asia. This thing hits absolutely amazing, and it's the reverse of a Revo shaft. It's a one solid piece instead of spliced up in 10 pieces, and the carbon fiber technology is actually on the inside by the top of the shaft.
That's really cool. What kind of tip is on the shaft?
Medium Predator Victory tip.
Okay, because I pretty much use soft tips on mine. I started with mediums and I've been shot with mediums for probably 20 some odd years. But then when I switched to the Revo and that came with the soft tip, I pretty much adjusted to it and started liking it from there. So that is super cool. So what we have for you today, like I said, I'm going to attempt to do some high run attempts, and Tony's going to watch me. So we're going to try to make this to be as educational as possible. I'm not really going to be keeping score, though we can kind of just tally the racks, knowing that if I'm on rack 4, that means I'm past 42, and then just add whatever. But what I'm going to have Tony sit here where y'all can see him in the mini window while I get on the table and start going through some racks. And if I'm unable to complete a rack, then hopefully Tony will be able to remember where the failure point is, just as long as the failure point was not me just missing. Because if I just missed a shot that I shouldn't have missed, and I was actually playing a pattern that even Tony was like, that was a really good pattern, then there's really nothing to go over. But if I happen to get into a route, a pattern that starts to have me shoot one hard shot after another, and then next thing you know I end up missing, and then Tony recognizes, let's go back 4 shots or let's go back 3 shots. Yeah. And then he'll give me whatever analysis he sees on a different route that I could have taken. And then, of course, as so long as my cue ball execution and the rest of the pattern play from there stays on par, then that can probably help me understand better how to lay out a rack.
Correct.
And then, so if I happen to get through the rack, then he can just give me an opinion on if there was a better pattern. We don't have to go back and go through that better pattern because I haven't missed. So therefore, I can continue the high run attempt, but we can still note whatever the better route possibly was, go into the next rack, and then kind of rinse and repeat. And so after we do that at least a couple of times, so that way, hopefully, even when I come back and rewatch this live stream, I can keep relearning all the stuff that you talked about. And then
hopefully you guys get something, and gals will get something.
Absolutely. And then, of course, you can't have a man like Tony be at a pool table and not shoot. So we're going to have Tony do a couple of high run attempts as well. And that way, when he's playing, I'm not going to be correcting anything that he does, but he can at least voice his...
I'm always willing to learn. I'm up for that. You know that. I've always said, had this saying where the day you think you know it all is the day you stop learning.
Absolutely.
I really believe that, so.
But while Tony is shooting, he'll be voicing his thoughts, letting y'all know how he's trying to break down the rack and stuff. So that way all of this can be just completely educational. So
Another thing, for those of you who might be in town, if you're interested in participating in the clinic that I'm doing in Austin, that would be awesome. You can reach out to me on Facebook. But also, if you're interested in having me do a clinic around your area, I'm actually going to do a national tour. I joined forces with Predators, start my own national clinic, going to different states and doing tours all over the place.
absolutely awesome.
And also, I know a lot of you have a lot of friends. Should tell friends about Chris's channel, because one of the reasons I'm also here is I want to help him get to that 100,000 subscriber level, so he can get that big, nice YouTube award.
That would be so amazing if I could do that. That would be so amazing. Okay, actually, it looks like we have a question. This is from Craig. He says,
Hey, Craig.
he wants, Tony, was it satisfying to beat that guy 20 out of 21 racks? Or was it kind of, damn, this is the guy that was beating me?
It was, to this day, one of the most satisfying feelings I've ever had in my entire life. Whether it was pool related or not, it was to know that I was able to overcome all the things that he threw at me, saying that you never. And I gave you the nice version. He was actually cursing at me. He was using the F word, saying you're never gonna be effing anything in this game, whatever. And I was stunned. I was shocked, and I couldn't believe it. And to know that I overcame that meant a lot to me. It was truly a special time. It reminded me of a buddy of mine who brought a girl one time to a tennis club. He lived in East Hampton, Long Island, and he got creamed and embarrassed by a guy that embarrassed him in front of his girl, but insulted him at the same time. And he had a similar story. He decided to take tennis lessons, and he practiced for 7 years, went back to the club. Luckily for him, he found the guy, and he didn't just beat him, he beat him to the ground. And the guy didn't recognize him until he told him who he was. And he also told me the same thing. It was one of the best feelings he ever had in his life. But I still wish that I could thank him, because I don't think he realized that my life has been built on the motivation that he gave me to master the game.
Yeah,
it's funny how things work out in life. It truly is incredible how one small thing like that, it might be small to some people, it's bigger to other people, but can change your life forever.
It's the classic idea of how a negative experience had such a positive outcome, so long as you can turn it into that positive outcome. Because some people have negative experiences that end up yielding negative outcomes. But like you said, since you took that and made it a positive reinforcement to improve and get better and stuff, and then of course get your redemption.
That's right.
And then everything just changes from there.
And the thing is too that I try to tell a lot of people out there is, in 2004 I finished 9th through 12th for like the gazillionth time in a pro tournament. I finished second in a major tournament 2 or 3 times before that, and I just couldn't win a major tournament. And I just got disgusted and I decided to quit. So I had just started training with a physical trainer, because I had signed a new contract. This was in March, and I was going to be sponsored till December for the Pro Tour, 16 stops that year. And I decided I was going to quit instead, because I just convinced myself that I couldn't win a major tournament. And my trainer called me, spoke to me in a half hour. He couldn't convince me. And finally he said, look, why don't we do this? You just signed a contract with a new sponsor. Finish out the season. And then if you want to quit, I won't try to stop you. I said, you know what? Fair enough. The very next tournament, the BCA Open 9-Ball Championship in Vegas, I won first place.
Nice.
And you know what's the most valuable lesson that I learned? That you can be this close to achieving your dream or your goal, but you will never find out unless you continue to move forward.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why after that moment, when I won my first major title, I decided I'm never going to quit ever again. And
nice.
I haven't. That's
Awesome. So we got a question from a persistent wolf billiards, which I'm curious if you're going to remember, because I know who this person is. His name is Timothy Morris. He apparently had a one-on-one lesson
at my house on Long Island.
Absolutely, because he's wanting to know if
His
you have any.
Francesca came with him.
Exactly. So there you go. So he's wanting to know if you have any plans yet for Connecticut or New York as part of your tour.
I believe we communicated. Yeah, I think I'm waiting. Tim, I thought I was waiting on you. I'm not sure.
Well, there you go, Tim.
Yeah, I'm ready when you are, buddy. You let me know. We'll go over the details. I'll give you the structure. Give me a call when I get back to Florida. I'm going to be home by Wednesday or Thursday, and we'll talk. You can even call me while I'm here. Call me on Saturday or something, and we'll talk.
Awesome. So there we go. All right, Tony. Well, I want you to take this seat here.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in.
Let's go ahead and get this show started and see what we can do. Let me make sure that they can see you okay. And it looks like they can.
Let me go get my old man glasses so that I can actually read the comments. I'll be right back.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So he's going to be sitting at the computer, so therefore he's going to be able to basically see the live chat. So, even though I'm going to be doing high run attempts, do not hesitate to ask any questions, and then of course he can answer them as we try to create this this dialogue of I'm going to be voicing my thoughts as to what I'm going to be trying to do, how I'm going to try to pick apart the rack, and then of course he can hopefully help me try to improve my thought process, my planning, my execution, etc., etc. And then, of course, chat with all of y'all. So I'm hoping this is going to be a lot of fun. I know I'm going to have a lot of fun, but I hope y'all are going to have a lot of fun. And then, of course, everybody hopefully is going to be able to learn something from this. So this is too cool. I hope everybody's enjoying this. Like I said, the moment Tony contacted me and actually wanted to do this, I was just flabbergasted. Like I didn't know what in the world how could I end up being in this moment here. So let's go ahead and get the show started.
All right, here we go.
So we start off with a classic side break here, and one of the things that I try to note, usually on every break, is to try to understand where the cue ball is actually going to strike the rack.
That's correct.
Is it going to hit the ball? Whatever ball that it does hit, is it going to hit it flat? Is it going to hit on the high side, which means away, towards the head rail, or is it going to hit on the low side, which is going to be towards the foot rail?
Mm-hmm.
And so if I can see that the cue ball is going to hit the rack flat, then I could possibly just try to stun it to have it basically just bounce off of the rack. But then if it hits on the high side of the rack, or the high side of the ball, or the low side of the ball, that's kind of going to determine whether or not if I want to put top spin or if I want to put bottom spin.
That's correct.
So, for example, if I knew that I was going to hit the top side of the ball, well, I could put bottom spin on it, draw it all the way down to here, like Thorsten Holman likes to do.
That's correct.
And spin it to one of the rails to get it somewhere towards the center of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Depending upon the angle that I'm also still coming into it, even though I'm going to be hitting the high side of the ball, I can also put top spin on it to kind of make it arc.
That's
go
correct.
Back towards this side rail and then come back towards the middle of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I'm hitting the low side of the rack, well, then that's when I have to be concerned about possibly scratching in either of the corner pockets. And then, as far as I know, there's two ways to avoid that. I can either try to hit it with a lot of follow and push it to the short rail and have it either come off this rail and then, depending upon how hard I hit it, it comes all the way up here, but basically hopefully get out in the open. Or Tony and I had a conversation and he showed me that I can actually hit the same kind of shot with low outside spin.
Yes, I don't trust the follow, because if you come up with follow and hit the second ball thick, you're going to scratch in the corner or dribble the ball in the pocket and end up with a tough shot.
Right. So the low outside, or in this case, would be low right.
Mm-hmm.
Here would be low left. The cue ball will hit the low side of the ball, draw over to this side rail, and then spin towards over here. Sometimes it's going to collide with something, which is going to allow it to at least stay, hopefully, out into the open.
That's correct.
And
if you hit it even lower, it'll draw in a straight line to the long rail, right?
Yep. And so that's actually what I'm going to try to do, because I think I've placed the one ball here where I can see that I'm going to strike the 12 ball low.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to try to hit this with low outside spin to see if the cue ball will pull its way over to the side rail and then spin to the short rail, and hopefully make the ball.
Oh, that's my favorite shot right there. When you hit it with stun draw and you go two rails into another ball, like you said earlier, I love that shot.
Yep. All right, so this is obviously a really good break, but we've got a little bit of a problem right here. And if I want to, recant like what Bob Keller taught me, these are all problems because they're pretty much up table. And typically, I'd like to just play half table pool. So there's kind of a priority to try to get rid of these, but sometimes you don't have to. These serve as really good insurance shots as you're trying to maneuver around down here. But this being a huge problem, I need to figure out how to deal with it. I don't have a combo that I can set up for it. So ideally, it kind of looks like maybe I can use one of these two to separate them.
That is correct.
To run into them, and I've got the 9-ball here as a possible insurance shot.
That's exactly how I would do it.
And then I guess maybe these. So my only opening shot that I have is this 6-ball. That's what I see. And as far as a break ball is concerned, I don't see one.
Well, I mean, keep in mind, since you don't have one, if you can't create one, you can always leave the 3 balls by the 4 for last to use it to get to the 4 for a side pocket break shot.
Okay, so Tony's talking about something like this. If the 8-ball were the cue ball,
exactly,
I can shoot the 4 in and then have the cue ball
and just crush him.
Okay, so that's what we'll try to do then. Let me see how I can try to shoot these around. Actually, I got the 9-ball that I can shoot, and I like the 9-ball better because I actually have options after that. If I shoot the 6, I don't have very many options. The 6 leads me to the 12, and that means I'm shooting a ball up table. But yeah, I think I like the 9-ball better.
And just keep in mind, he decided to take the 9 because he felt more comfortable with that shot. One thing that I learned from Steve Mizrak when he was alive, he says whenever you have a choice between 2 shots, always try to stop the cue ball, if possible, at what he calls the alternate zone, so that if you don't play position for 1 ball, you still have another shot. And that's what you had there. With the 6, you can only really play position for 1, so that was a very smart shot.
Correct. That's the reason why I chose it. So now I actually can shoot either one of these. I have a tough combo, but why am I going to shoot a tough combo? I can shoot the 4, but we talked about it being a break ball, so why am I going to do that? I can shoot the 8, but these balls help me get position on the 4, so why do I want to do that? So I'm not ready to come up here yet.
No. Nope.
So I kind of feel like because of how thick I have a hit on the 7-ball, I can probably stun out here to the 6-ball, and that'll allow me to get some sort of position on the 15-ball to come into cluster that I'm trying to solve.
Right. Now, if somehow, and again, it all depends on the angle you get and what decision you make, you're able to put the cue ball on the other side of the 15, you can break the cluster and have the 6-ball as an insurance shot.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
If it's feasible. One way to do that is to get, on the 12 at an angle and come off the rail and then shoot the 12 and come to the other side.
The 12 or the 14?
The 12, let me look at it here. Yeah, the 12. If you shot the 7-ball now and went to the 12, you can shoot the 12, come out, and then try to come on this side of the 15.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Actually, yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying. That's what I'm going to try.
Because it's all about playing percentages, playing smart when it comes to straight pool and patterns.
Well, I didn't want to do a bump, though.
It's okay. That's fine because you're still in good shape here. Because remember, one thing about straight pool is that if you become obsessed with the original plan to begin with, that's when you're doomed to fail. Because if you move a ball, you have to reassess the rack and figure out another pattern. Right here you have, I'm not going to say what it is because I already know what it is, but I want you to tell me what would you do here.
Okay. So the only thing I see that makes sense is for me to shoot the 12. I can play a stop shot, which is going to give me this angle here on the 15 ball, to which allows me to use the short rail spin into this. And that's going to allow the 6 ball to be an insurance ball. And if I hit this badly, and of course if the cue ball comes up, I have the 14 as an insurance ball, and then of course I've got all these.
That's correct.
As insurance balls.
That's correct. And if you end up shooting that 15 and hitting that 5 right, off the 3 ball, you could possibly create a break shot, the 5 ball as well, off the 3.
Yes, so he's saying that if I catch it here and I hit the 3 ball on the camera view's right side, then the 5 ball should kind of just dribble out this way and land hopefully in break ball position.
It's just things to think about when you're running, because this is a difference between a 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and a 100 ball runner.
Okay. Well, let's see if I can do it, right? Because it's all about I have the plan. Can I execute?
Very nice.
Thank you.
And Chris Kearse, you're absolutely right. If it's not comfortable, do not force the shot. That's correct. You know, if you have to find another way, find another way.
See if I can turn that 5-ball into a break ball like we talked about. Not quite.
Okay, well, what happened there is you hit the 5 on the thick side. The idea there was to come off the rail and hit the 5 from underneath, not right on it, because then what that's going to do is that's going to push a 3 right in front of the 5, which it did, and now you don't have a shot there. So again, right now we reassess, right?
So if I want to keep attacking it, I can shoot the 14 and try to come across. The only problem that is I'm out of insurance balls, I would think.
Well, the 6 is still in good position.
Okay.
The other option that you have here is you can shoot the 14 and try to play position for the 10 or the 8, and use the 4 to come off the bottom rail and run into the 5 and the 3 again, attack it from underneath, and having the 6 as an insurance shot.
Okay. So if I do that, though, that takes the 4 out as a break ball. Does that mean the 6 ball becomes a break ball?
The 6 ball becomes either an insurance ball, depending where these lie, then we'll talk about it there.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. So for the 8 or the 10 from here. All right. Oh, there kind of softly. Which gives me the 10. So I can just play the 10, stun off the rail, and come out here for the position on the 4 like you talked about.
And you could just even roll it. Just roll it and come off. Just make sure you don't end up on top of the 8.
Right.
That's the key. You want to make sure you don't end up on top of the 8, because you want to be able to hit the cue ball. Options to hit the cue ball you need to. Right? Now that's even better. Because now you can shoot the 8 to get there. That's correct. And while you're up there, you might as well get rid of the 11.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
I know Kevin. Is it Kevin Bowie?
Yep,
How you doing, Kev?
That's a good follower of mine.
Yeah, he said, what advice do you have for someone who's trying to get to the next level? I'm a 480 speed player, and I've been struggling to elevate my game. Well, I can tell you this. First and foremost, no matter what level you're playing, you should always go back to the fundamentals and make sure that you're executing them correctly and consistently, because that's always going to end up, you're always going to end up having a problem with your fundamentals. Second, you want to make sure that you identify the weak parts of your game, whether it's banking, playing position, shot making, whatever, and you want to master your weaknesses and turn them into strengths. Because unless you do that, you're going to continue to struggle for years to come. It doesn't make sense to do what most of humanity does when all they do is just hit balls all day long, as opposed to practicing shots that they're comfortable with all the time until they become comfortable. So anytime you master a brand new shot, you just added a brand new weapon to your arsenal to use against your opponent. And the more weapons you have, the more likely you are to beat him. So if your opponent is known to have about 75 weapons and you have 50, it's your job to master 50, 75 new shots so you can have twice the amount of weapons that they do or more.
I like that. So I didn't get ideal position on this, and so it's going to be real difficult for me to try to maintain getting on the 4. And the position I'm at on the 4 right now, I do not like, because the natural line takes me right about here. So I would have to hard spin this to even have the possibility.
Yeah, well, what I love about your table is the spin grabs extremely well. I was testing his table, and listen, believe me, I give this kid a lot of credit. I'm super impressed that you ran 79 on this table, because these pockets are on the tight side.
Thank you.
You know, you have to hit them really well. And this is your table. You plan it every day. But you sometimes, I'm not saying you're too hard on yourself, but you're going to have those days where you feel like you are. Don't worry about that, because in my opinion, when you run 100 here, it's almost the equivalent of running 200 because of the tight pockets.
Thank you. So I kind of feel like my backup plan here is to go ahead and try to cut the 11 and use the angle that I'm getting to go ahead and try to break into the 3 and the 5.
Yeah, because you definitely have a bad angle there. You know, you definitely have a bad angle there. So So what you want to do is, can you run into them now? Bypass the 4? What are you saying you want to do?
Cut the 11,
Right.
have the cue ball come off the rail and try to head into
Yeah.
them with the
Yeah.
6 ball being
Yeah.
the insurance ball.
Now keep in mind, you have to be very, very careful here. Even if you end up running into the 5 only, that's fine. The focus here is to make sure that you don't hit it with enough spin to run into the 4.
Right.
Because if you run into that 4 and that 4 ends up here, your run is over.
Pretty much.
All you have is a 6 ball bang.
Yep. Okay. Oh, just like you said. Just
Well, maybe
like
you got
said.
lucky. Maybe you got lucky. You caught a roll with extra butter.
All right. So, well, this is interesting. I have a 3 ball combination because I can. It looks like I can hit the 3 ball on my right side, so I'm cutting it to the left, so that way the 3 ball combos the 5 back over to the right. And what that allows me to see is that the 3 ball is going to run into the 4.
Mm-hmm.
The 4 is going to drift somewhere over here.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 ball, I'm actually kind of hoping lands somewhere right over here. And so, with the 3 ball being where it's at, what I can't see from here is whether or not if I'm going to have a shot on the 3, 4, or 6.
Well, the main thing here is a lot of times people will shoot these combinations blindly.
Mm-hmm.
What you want to do is you assessed it correctly. The 13 is going to hit the 3, the 3 is going to hit the 5, the 3 is going to run into the 4. The 3 is not going to go there because it's coming this way.
Right.
See? And I'll explain what I mean in a second. I'm going to show you guys a super cool method to figure this stuff out. Right?
Okay.
So when the 3 hits a 4 here, it's going to send the 4 this way. You could possibly end up having a ball here to get one of these as a behind the rack break shot. Right?
Okay.
This key here is to make sure that you draw the cue ball enough so that when the 3 stops there, you're at least straight, so it makes it easier for you to come to these.
Okay.
Right? And the other thing is when you hit the 13 to the 3, the 13 might actually bounce off the rail and also kick one of those balls depending on how you're hitting it. So that's why you want to make sure that you hit it with decent speed to make sure that the 13 is out of the way so you can at least see the 3.
Okay. Let's see here then.
Yeah, unfortunately, we wound up with the super complicated stuff in the beginning, the first round.
Right.
But we're gonna have better ones. I'm really excited about doing this.
Some pace. No, but I missed.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that went better than I thought, where we were doing kind of like a on the fly, figuring stuff out. So I hope that was valuable to everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and try again. You did make it sound like I at least had good plans, but
Oh, yeah.
my execution didn't back up the good plans, and I kept having to change my plans. So let's try this again.
Alex Martinez wrote, I think Chris needs a timeout.
I've got a never-ending timeout at the moment. All right, so one little trick I saw you doing when we were practicing before we even did a live stream is you set this up to where you can visually see where the cue ball would go. So like right now, I think I'm hitting the bottom side of the 12 again. So now I can pull it away and still do the low outside
That's correct.
opener shot.
And at some point when you do the break shot, I want you to show the viewers how the cue ball reacts when you hit the top of the ball with both follow and draw. Because one thing I learned a long time ago, especially in the shorter tables, but it does happen on the 9-foot tables. If you hit it with low, regardless of whether you hit it with spin or without spin, if you hit it too hard, the balls will spread this way. The cue ball will go 1 or 2 rails, come and freeze on top of a ball, and you have no shot.
Right.
So whenever you're hitting a break shot like this, where you know you're gonna hit the top of the ball and draw, hit it with enough speed so that when you come off the top rail, you land somewhere on the center of the table.
Okay. Well, based on what you said, I already did the low outside, and I did it successfully. So since I'm still going to hit the bottom, or I think I'm going to hit the bottom side of the ball, I'm going to do it with topspin now to see if I can push
Okay.
to the short rail. So that way the viewers can see the difference. So nothing but top spin on this one. I missed, but I still end up getting the cue ball to go to the top rail.
Right, and I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to shark you from the shot. But when I watched your stream yesterday, every time you shot that shot with foul, you wound up on the top rail and ending up with a difficult shot, opening shot for that rack, right?
Correct. That was correct.
So you can still hit it that way, but hit it with enough speed to stop the cue ball by the middle of the table.
Okay.
Because you don't have to necessarily break him on. Now remember, you're using the template rack.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're still going to get a pretty decent spread.
Okay. So I won't hit, this time I won't try to hit it as hard as I did. And see if the cue ball won't go as far. So same shot, hopefully I make it this time. And that's usually what happens to me if I take a little bit off. Now at least got a shot.
Right, but that one you had an angle where you thought you were going to go in between, but you still went on the thicker side. There's always a possibility that you could have hit the ball to a different part of the pocket.
Okay.
And by hitting it to a different part of the pocket, it changed the direction of the cue ball coming off the break shot.
Gotcha.
So that's something to think about.
All right, so let's see here. Now I've got some work cut out for me because I have a clustered rack here. And this isn't so much of an issue for me, I don't think, because the 7 can just lead me to the 3 to go over here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm okay with that. I can take the 14 out now if I wanted to. And then that allows the cue ball to come up table, which I have the 4 here, but I have to bridge over the 5. If I do that, I actually have a really thin cut shot on the 6 ball. I'm comfortable with thin cut shots. I can actually probably spin off this rail and come back into the clutter with the 9 ball and the 10 ball as insurance balls and kind of like slowly open those up. I actually kind of like that shot.
And you know why I would never take the 4 here?
Why?
Because if you shoot the 4, the cue ball is going to come off the 6 and hit off the 15 or the 5, send the cue ball up table. If you come off the 11 and you don't hit it, you fail to hit it dead square, it's the cue ball is going to come off the 11 and the 15 and go up table.
Okay.
You see? So if you decide to shoot the 4, you have to hit it with from some slow speed. So that way you just nudge the balls a bit, right? And end up with the 6 ball as an insurance shot. Or you can shoot the 6 now and then use the 7 and the 3 to get back down here and use one of these, like the 9 to get to the 10 and the 10 to get to the 2. And use the 2 to break them up, having the possible 12 balls and insurance ball down here, or creating one in the 11 ball. I'll show you when we get to that point.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and try to take the 6 then. Lots of left spin, so I can kill it off the short rail and try to come into the cluster here. Without miscuing. Never mind.
Well, you can try it now since you miscued, if you want to.
Which one?
Just to the same exact shot, just to see.
Let's put this back the way it was, or kind of back the way it was.
Yeah.
Something like this.
And the 11 was here. The 2 was here, and the 11 was there.
Oh, there we go.
Just like that.
Let me try this again. So I didn't kill it enough with inside spin.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm now on the 7.
Yeah, you're now on the 7. You can get rid of that. If you can nudge a 3, that's even better. So that way you put it in a better position. If you're dead straight, you might as well just get straight on the 3 ball. And if you do that and you roll down for the 9 ball, you can use a 9 to get to the 4 and use the 4 to get to the 10, and the 10 gets you to the 2.
Okay, because then the 2 breaks this.
Exactly,
this
and possibly creates a key ball for the 11 in the same pocket as a 4 or the 12 ball over here.
All right. Bump into the 3, which I can. I didn't want to bump flat into it. But I have an angle on the 14 to run into the cluster. I don't know if that's really ideal.
Well, again, it's always going to go back to understanding how the tangent line works. And I will demonstrate something after this rack,
okay,
which will help you see things a little bit, more importantly, help them see everything a lot more clearly.
Okay. So I'm going
because it's a method that I use just from one simple trick shot that I learned when I was about 14, 15 years old when I first started taking straight pool seriously, and it pretty much shaped my game for life.
Okay, well then I'm going to try this 14 ball and see if I can follow into the cluster. And the 5 ball, even though it's a little high, but that's a break ball that I can use. I have a small combo, or if I land somewhere in the window, I can shoot this.
Right. Can you shoot the 9 and run into the 11 and create a break shot there while getting position on the 4, or do you have an off angle?
If I run into the 11, it looks like I'm going to run into the 11 like this. All I'm doing is pushing it up.
Because there's another thing that you can do. You can
unless you want me to try to forcefully clip it, so that way I hit this ramp, so that way I hit here and then bounce it back over here.
No, because since the 12 and the 10 are in a kind of a bad spot here, I normally like to take care of the 10 and the 12. See, this is what I want to tell everyone, right? There are two types of straight pool players.
Okay.
There are doctors, surgeons that like to perform surgery, and others that like to create a bloody mess.
Okay.
Right? I like to perform surgery when I play straight pool, right? So a lot of times I prefer to have a ball here because that helps me get to that once I get rid of that and open the pocket for that, right? The other thing that you can do here is shoot the 12, nudge the 10. Maybe you get lucky and stop it here for a possible break shot. But more importantly, the cue ball will stop here, and then you can shoot the 9 and attack the 11 and see if you can put it in a better position from here instead.
Okay.
Because you're not going to not end up with a shot on the 4 if you hit it with the correct speed.
Okay.
So, I only run into clusters if it's absolutely necessary. But more importantly, if there's small clusters, I just tap them. It's not necessary to smash, a cluster of 2 or 3 balls. See, now the 10 is in a nice spot right there for a possible break shot.
Right. I just have to get the 5 out of the way, though. Okay. So this works.
And that's what the 3 is there for. See, the 13 gets you straight on the 3. The 3 gets you straight on the 5 in the opposite pocket to play.
After I clear this.
After you clear that up.
Okay. And then from here, like you said, I can bump into the 11. That'll get me to the 4.
And remember, when you're bumping into balls, be mindful of where you want to place that ball. Because it makes it easier for you to run the rest of the rack. See, there, unfortunately, he hit the 4 ball. He didn't mean to hit the 4 ball there.
Right.
So this is when you reevaluate and say to yourself, hey, what's the best pattern from here? Because you're starting to create a bit of a bloody mess, but you can still perform surgery. Right?
All right, so
see, one thing I recommend is a lot of times when I give lessons in straight pool,
yes,
I tell players, most players know the patterns. A lot of them know the patterns. For the most part, their problem is execution. So years ago, before I finally started running 200 balls, my high run is 268, and then I quit playing straight pool for like 12 years because I wanted to focus on 9 ball for the tour. I tell players that, what was I talking about? Sorry.
for this one, what you were giving lessons for straight pool.
Yeah, man, for some reason I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. But listen, whatever you do, don't get old.
Yeah, right?
I'm pretty sure I remember what it is, and I'll come back to it.
So here I just feel inclined to shoot the 13 ball since I'm already here. And I know that my cue ball is just going to hit the rail and start drifting its way down here. So I'm either going to have a shot on the 11, a shot on the 3. If I keep on coming, I can have a shot on the 15. If I keep on coming, I have a shot on the 4. I have a lot of different outs just from shooting the 13 and not trying to do anything fancy.
How comfortable do you feel shooting the 11 now?
That is a shot. The only thing is that shot leads me up here for the 3 ball or up here for the 13
Oh, okay.
ball.
I thought you had an angle where you can get past a 3. Never mind. Yeah. Yeah, no.
Well, let me rephrase it. I can maybe run into the 3.
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking?
No. I don't like that at all. And it's a 4 ball. I can't tell from here. Is it a deep cut? Because, sometimes it's even, yeah. No, yeah, no good. Okay.
So let's see here. No spin on this ball. I'm just going to try to roll it. harder I must have hit it, then every,
Yeah, no,
every
that's
shot
that's
just
fantastic.
keeps on coming.
You solved a lot of problems there by not running into any balls, and now this is. I mean, I'm almost tempted to say pretty much self-explanatory. I mean, you don't have the 13 to use to get straight on the 3, but you still have options here to do so.
Right.
You know, the major thing here is to try and get from the 4 to the 11, use the 11 to get rid of that 15 ball in the same pocket as a 4, so that way you can open up this area here for the 2 ball to play in the lower left-hand corner pocket.
Okay, it's interesting that you said that because I was thinking 4 to the 8, and then from the 8 to either the 15 or the 11.
It all depends on how you get on the 8, and that's not a bad option. That's
Okay.
not a bad option, because one thing you're going to learn about straight pool when you start running hundreds, and I'm pretty sure you get there some point, is everyone has a different style, but also a lot of times there's no such thing as an absolute perfect pattern.
Okay.
One player might prefer one pattern over the other because they play position better for that particular shot.
Okay.
The only thing is that you want to make sure you don't underhit it if you play position for the 8 ball after the 4, because if not, you're going to be forced to run into the 15.
And those would be the things that I usually don't think about, because now that I look at your 4 to the 11 to the 15 basically opens me to the 2 or the 8 to go here, which I actually like that route better. As long as I can get on the good side. Or
What I was saying before, now that I remembered, is most players know the patterns. The problem is execution. So what I used to do when I was a kid, before I started, and when I started doing this, I started running 100, 150 balls. I would literally stop everything that I was doing, set up the pattern exactly the way it was, and the shot that gave me problem and prevented me from running that pattern, I would not stop shooting that shot until I couldn't get it wrong.
Gotcha.
So obviously that takes time, but that's what it takes to, get to that level.
All right, so we're going to try to go from the 4 to the 11. And yeah, I almost got on the bad side. I'm decent here. I can roll this to the 15.
So I wanted you to, that's not bad. That's not bad.
Except now I'm running into the 2 ball.
Exactly. Yeah, because I wanted you to come and get a little straighter on the 15, so you could just roll it to that side, right?
Right. So here.
So let's reevaluate, right? Let me look at the angle that you have here on the 15. Okay.
I figured I could just bump into the 2 safely. It comes down here, but I have
That's
a shot
correct.
at the 8.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
And depending where the 2 ends up, if the 2 ends up here, that's your avenue to get to the 5. Shoot the 5, go up there, and shoot the 3 down here. It all depends on how you end up. You might end up over here, having to come over here and shoot the 5 and come this side for the 3 ball.
Right.
The key here is to stun it over and hit the top side of the 3, so the cue ball has a little movement coming this way to play the 8 in the same pocket. Because if you hit it dead solid, you might not get the 2. That's it right there. It's perfect.
All right. So we said 8, 2, 5, 3, 10. Let's see.
And listen, some people want to go that extra mile. If you feel supremely confident to shoot the 2 ball and come around the table for the 3, by all means do so if you feel comfortable. But again, I like to perform surgery. I like to minimize. My rule in straight pool is to minimize the cue ball as much as humanly possible. Because I was fortunate enough to have met Willie Mosconi when he was about 70-something doing an exhibition in New Jersey. And when I asked him what was his secret to running so many balls, he told me he learned to minimize the movement of the cue ball, that's when he maximizes run-out potential.
So I didn't see the scratch, obviously. Now, you had mentioned something about a trick shot.
Right.
What's the trick shot?
Kevin, I know that I'm going to be doing a clinic in LA. All you got to do is, if you want to, just send me a private message on Facebook, and we'll try to make it happen in Northern California. I'll be more than happy to do that. Okay, buddy? All right, so I'm going to show you a trick shot that pretty much shaped my straight pool game for life.
Okay.
And this is when I started paying attention and running tons of balls. It's called Ring Around the Rosie.
Okay.
All right? It was done by the famous Jimmy Karras, who was a former world champion, I believe, in the 50s or 60s. And he played many matches with Mosconi in his prime, right? It was in his trick shot book. I still have that book, by the way. It's an old book. So with that shot, Jimmy Karras used to set up the balls like this in semicircle formation. And he would put a ball here. So what Jimmy Karras used to do is he would hit this ball, the cue ball, off here. Once he came off the 11, it created a 90-degree angle going towards the 14. Once it came off the 14, it created a 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle, and eventually come around there. So I said, wait a minute. If I did that in straight pool, would that work? It just dawned on me. Mm-hmm. And from that moment on, the biggest mistake I see players make is they only do this for the break shot, but they don't do it for clusters. Okay. In the middle of a rack. I can't tell you how many times I knew someone was going to get stuck, and they got stuck because they didn't look to see where the cue ball was going. So, for example, for the lack of a better example, let's say you're here, right? This is your shot. Boom, 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 right? Now, you have this shot right here. The one ball's right there. If you hit this ball with draw, what do you think is going to happen? The cue ball's going to hit
the 10.
10, the 8 or the 3,
yeah.
Hit this one, hit that one in there. Why is that so important? Because by you knowing where the cue ball is going to go, you now know exactly what speed to hit it with. Right. You're going to hit this with enough speed, so when you come off all those balls, you're going to hit with enough speed to make sure that the cue ball barely comes off that rail. Right. You're not going to smash it so that cue ball comes off that rail and then ends up going that way, because now you actually know where the cue ball is going. Another example. I had a student that was asking me about how to shoot this shot. He had a situation come up like this, where he had something similar to this. It was just like this, with balls in the way, pockets being blocked, something like this. He was here, had that ball there, right? Awkward angle. He said, will you shoot this with follow, or will you shoot this with draw? I said with follow, and said, follow? Why would you shoot it with follow? He said, because if I shoot it with draw, I'm going to scratch on the side. He said, what? And I said, well, yeah, because if you shoot this with draw, the cue ball's going to hit here, draw off that, hit here, hit there, and if the 8 ball is a little further this way, hits the 8 and creates a 90-degree angle going there. Let's see how close you get to that. Let's try hitting this with draw. Let's see how close you get to that. All right. Hit it with low right. Let's see how close you get to this side pocket. Hold on. Let me move this here a bit. There you go. Okay. Because I think the way you had it set up, it looked like you might not even hit the 8. You see where the cue ball's going? Yeah. So you see, if I have a shot like that, and I know that I might scratch, and I know that hitting it with follow isn't going to work, because hitting with follow is just going to stop the cue ball there, I will still hit it with draw, but with softer speed, because I want to make sure that I avoid a scratch. Gotcha. Right? Okay. So that's why, because someone was asking me earlier, how do you know to hit break shot with speed or without speed? Well, a lot of it depends on whether or not you have a thick hit or a thin hit. See, if you have a fuller hit, what's going to happen is the cue ball is going to lose most of its speed because you're hitting the ball fuller. Right. So it's not going to have as much energy, and the only way to compensate is by hitting it harder. But when you're here, you have such a thin hit that the cue ball is going to retain most of its speed. So by retaining most of its speed, it's going to have plenty of juice to break up the rack. Right. All right. Okay. Then let's see what I can do with another attempt. This is what I typically do. I haven't gotten out of the first rack. Well, you know, we're doing a lot of talking, but it's because we're trying to relay a lot of this information there. Usually, like I'll have like just some sort of an average where I don't really get out of the first rack, and then, like, I guess you say I start getting warmed up. Mm-hmm. Try hitting the top one where you hit the top of the ball with draw. Okay. To see in between the 3 and the 15, or between the 9 and the 3 is even better. Between the 9 and the 3, but you're going to hit the top of the 9. Okay. And see how close that, overhit it intentionally. I want you to intentionally overhit the ball to see if the cue ball hits the top rail and tries to come back and sneak underneath one of those balls.
Okay.
Yeah, Kevin, that would be great. I look forward to hearing from you, buddy.
Well, I missed.
But watch your cue ball. Watch your cue ball. See, every once in a while when you hit it like that, you miss the ball, so it changes the trajectory of the ball.
Sure.
But once in a while, that ball will go end up here, or if these balls are down here, it'll end up frozen there. You still have a shot, but now, you know. So that's why I said that you, depending on the table size and the speed of the table, will help you determine what speed to hit it with in order to end up by the center of the table.
All right, I'm gonna try it again.
Yeah, you're right, Chris. Dealing with clusters is the most important part of playing straight pool because, again, I'm not going to sound like a broken record, but when it comes to clusters, you have to know how to manage them because I've had so many players come to me, says, you won't believe it, I ran 50 and I got stuck, I got unlucky, and they never bothered to look to see where the cue ball was going to hit on the cluster.
Now what about that one? Because I drew this way.
Right.
Not all the way down here.
Right, because what happens is when you shot the break shot, think of it this way, right? Let's rack the balls for a second.
Sure.
So let me ask everyone this, right? If the cue ball's here and the break shot isn't there, and you're just shooting directly at the 13, withdraw, the cue ball's going to draw there. That's what happened.
Okay.
See, so even though you try to hit the top of the ball, you actually hit it in a more direct line, kind of like you would with foul when you're trying to go to the ball directly. So again, it could be that the ball wasn't set up correctly, or you cut the ball into a different part of the pocket.
Okay.
That's enough. That's why when you set it up, when you set it up like this, always start off first by putting the ball closer to the rack. It makes it easier for you to see that line better.
Okay.
The other thing that I recommend, highly recommend, is get a cross pointer laser pen. You ever try one of those?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so you get one. I don't know if you'll be able to see it here. I actually have one in my case. Because usually it's hard to see with the blue. But this is a cross pointer right here. So I like using this so that I can line up the break shot there and then line up over here trying to figure out when I'm going to hit the top of the ball. That looks like I'm going to hit the one ball here. I ended up in a direct line like that, and that should give you the top of the ball.
So there's an accessory for y'all. Anybody get yourself
Right
a cross laser pen?
Yeah, I got this one at eBay. So now hit this one with low right. See how you do.
Okay.
Almost scratch. Yeah, almost scratch it because again, you're hitting it on the thicker side. If you take a look at that, ball hit over here.
Right.
So when you're hitting on the thicker side, you're going to change the tangent line a little bit and hit the ball thicker.
Okay.
So the thicker you hit it, the more likely you are to go there. That's why you have to be very careful with that.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go from here.
All right. Lots of mess that I have to deal with. Primarily this, because there's not even a combo set up for it. So I feel like the 3 ball is probably a good ball to try to go into them. 7 ball and is the 14 ball. Yeah, it looks like the 14 ball would be the insurance shots in case something goes wrong. So the question is going to be is how do I get to this angle on the 3 for now, unless something else comes up. Because if I move the 3 out of the way, then I can do the same thing with the 9 and hopefully be able to get on the angle. Currently, that's all that I see just to be able to deal with this.
Yes, I would just focus on shooting the 11 and trying to get on the 14 or the 7 on the right-hand corner pocket. Worst case scenario, if you overhit it and you run into the 4, you have the 8 up there or the 2 up there.
Okay.
See, so this is the Mizrac rule that I told you where he always concentrates on the alternate zone. Go to an area where you have alternate shots if you don't hit it with perfect speed. And you have more of an angle in the 11 than I originally thought. So if you want to cut it more and hit here, it's okay if you come here and run into that and get position that.
Okay.
And then you can figure it out from there.
Okay.
My man Jaworski, how are you, Andrew? Good to hear from you, bud. Boom. Right? Now, the difference there is I would have hit it a little softer because remember, I'm trying to control the balls.
Right.
So I don't want to give the cue ball. I'm thinking like this. My thinking is, well, what if I come off this rail and I don't hit it perfectly straight? What if I hit this side? What if I hit that side? So I always hit it with what I call just in case speed. Just in case I hit this edge or that edge, my cue ball still has a chance of stopping in that area.
Okay. All right, so now from here, I mean, I think the only thing I would want to do is shoot the 14 ball. I have a shot at the 2. It's just that I'm back cutting it to that corner
The
pocket.
14 is definitely the shot here.
Yeah, and then I also have the 15, but I don't feel like those would be the shots. The only thing I'm worried about is if I run into the 7.
Well, if you draw, you won't run into the 7. And if you happen to draw right here, now you can deal with the 2 and then use the 2 to get to these. Right?
Okay.
Because then what you're going to do is if you can get to the 2 and get to these, right? Once you get to these, now one of these might give you access for one of them over there. Because ultimately what you want to do is you want to use one of these to break those up.
Right.
And still have an insurance shot.
Right. Okay. I think I can draw this.
So you overhit it, right? So now this is what you're gonna do. Even though the 8 is a nice break shot here because you have a nice key ball on that side, sometimes you have to say to yourself, remember we were talking about this before the stream, sometimes you have to reevaluate when you get out of line and say, okay, what's the best that I can do with what I have in front of me? This is, the people that have the ability to do this are the ones that have the highest runs because they don't become obsessed with the original plan. When they become obsessed with the original plan, they end up taking a slightly tougher shot, missing it, and the run is over.
Okay.
If you shoot the 8 here and tap it, and just barely run into that 2, now you have the 12 and the 13 here. You have a perfect angle to do that right now. And what I mean by barely tap the 2 is you don't want to stop the 2 here to the point where none of these go there. You just really just want to barely tap it out of the way.
Okay. Let's see if I can finesse that.
Now you can make the 12, correct?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Now you tell me what you're going to do. I want you to tell me what you're going to do.
Well, the 2 now blocks the 13, but I can shoot the 2 here or here
Mm-hmm.
at some point. The natural line of the 14 makes me want to get position on the 7. I'm sorry, the natural line off the 12 makes me want to get position on the 7. And from there, I can get position on the 2 to go up here, which grants me access to all 3 of these to go into that corner. Still, right now, because the 3 ball is kind of the priority because it blocks the 9.
Mm-hmm.
While the 13, if I were to take the 13 after getting some sort of angle, I would end up bumping into these. And the interesting part about this now, though, is like the 3 ball is kind of a break ball unless somebody used the 4 ball as a break ball. And the 15 ball would be the key ball for the 4 ball. So if I had to commit to something, it's going to be 12, 7, 2, and then from the 2, get that angle that I want on the 3 to break this open. And even if I don't get anything, well then by then, this ball is probably the insurance because the 13 is going to be blocked by the 9. So I would have to think this is the insurance ball, even though it's my key ball.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, listen, if you shoot this, right, and you are capable of drawing it here, you have the angle to do that, I mean, right here, or come off the rail and end up there. Or, better yet, just try to come here and shoot the 14 up there, I mean, the 4 up there, or the 4 here. The main thing is getting the cue ball here. If you get the cue ball here after shooting that, right, you can actually shoot this, come here, break that up, and have the 15 as a Geico, I mean, as an insurance. I say Geico because Geico is an insurance company. So anytime you hear me say, that's your Geico, what I mean insurance shop by that. I've been saying it for years, and that's a habit.
All right, so let's see if I can do this then, because I have to shoot this left-handed. And I like using rails. That's what I'm going to try to do. But I overhit it. So now that makes me want to shoot the 15 ball as I reevaluate, because the 15 ball will lead me to the 3 to deal with this. Where This is a stop shot, which I don't think is what I want. I want to be about right here. I need a little bit of a run through. I think I want to run into the 10 ball, because then once I glance off the 10, that's going to push the 6 closer to the pocket. And since I'm glancing off the 10, that means the cue ball is going to hit the 5 from behind and push it up. So I'm literally separating all 3 of them.
Exactly, and the 10 is pretty much stops, depending how thick or thin you hit it, stops where the 6 is, and the cue ball might stop there for the 7 in this corner pocket.
Right, okay. Let's see here. Don't really necessarily have to hit this hard either. I want to bump into them. Oh, but never mind. But I bumped the 6 out.
Mm-hmm. Does it go?
Yeah, the 6 goes now. So reevaluate.
This is a toughie.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one has turned into a tough one. No dead combination there.
I feel like shooting the 7, getting position on the 4, using the 4 to get back over here to deal with this 6. The only thing about this is that probably...
Well, look at this. If you shoot this and you stun it, and make absolutely sure you leave it on this side of the table, right? If you end up with too much angle, you can shoot it with draw and come to this side for the 2, for the 6. If you end up just right over here, you can end up going 1, possibly 2 rails, breaking them from behind, and possibly ending up with the 9 over here, or one of those balls over there.
Okay.
So this is one of those preference shots that I told you.
Right.
But as far as percentages are concerned, I like to perform surgery. I'm always going to say that, you know. I would try to get rid of one of these so that when I get run, because a 6 and a 10 in a sneaky spot. Because if you run to the 6, you're going to hit the 10 so squarely that there's a chance you might double kiss it and stop it there anyway. And then the run is over.
Okay.
That's why I kind of like the idea of attacking it from behind.
Okay. Let's see here. So stun to the side rail. Really far away, but I have the angle that we were talking about to come hit those from behind. So that's what I'll try. Oh, but I hit it too full.
Don't worry, I'll say it for him. Oh, come on! I love it when he says that. Reminds me of Tommy Kennedy. Tommy Kennedy says, come on. He's been saying that for years, but he says, not oh.
Well, they love it when I say golly. When they know I mean to be a little bit more colorful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So interestingly enough, if I were to just assess based on what I'm currently doing right now, I'm not starting the way I normally start, which would be to use the top spin hit.
Right.
So I'm going to go ahead and give that a try.
Sure.
From here. And usually, though, I don't end up back here. I usually hit this fairly decent. Kind of like that.
Yeah. That's perfect right there.
Yeah. So this to me seems a little bit more manageable. 5 ball is a little high for a break ball. 11 ball can't go, but I have to move the 4 ball so the 11 ball goes. Besides that, I don't really see
told you, we was talking earlier, again, before the stream started, and one of the things we're talking about is when I break a rack, if I have, like, this is a break shot, and that as a possible, key ball, I always make it a priority to do the best that I can, if possible, to avoid running into those. But I also look for the candidate. Which is the best candidate to get me perfectly straight on the 7? The 3 ball, because the 3 ball is already in that area.
Right.
A lot of people would shoot the 3 ball first, not even realizing that. You see, if anything, I'd rather shoot the 12 first, so that way I can get to the center of the table. And then if I have to shoot this to get to that, and then shoot this to get to that, and then shoot the 15 to get the 6 and the 14 here, I'll go that route, as long as I don't move this triangle. This is a triangle we're looking for. Sometimes it's a rectangle. We have a ball here. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
So basically what I'm saying there is sometimes people will take
the obvious shot.
Right? And this is what I call the not so obvious obvious. Because it's not so obvious, but to me it's obvious that I should shoot this one because that's what's going to make the pattern easier in the end.
Okay. I like that. That's what I know I need help on, pattern selection.
Now the 5 ball here is what I call it's a break shot, right? Mm-hmm. And again, you want to try to run this in a way where you won't risk moving that 5 ball because we already decided it's going to be the break shot because the 3 and the 7 are going to help you get you there. So the key here is getting on that 13 if possible before the 4. Because another rule that I have is that it's a million times easier assuming, this is how I explain it, this is a low side of the table, this is a high side of the table. It's a lot easier to go from a ball that's on the high side to a ball that's on the low side than vice versa. Because if you try to go from the 4 to the 13, you might run into the 13, whereas if you shoot the 13 first, you just have to come off the rail and shoot it that way.
Okay.
It's kind of like if you had a ball here, and a ball there, boom, 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 boom. Highest, second highest, third highest, fourth highest, right?
Right.
So it makes it easier. But if I shoot that one, and then come this one, then come back to that one, and then this one, now I'm doing what my former coach used to call unnecessary heavy lifting.
Okay.
Right? I'm moving the cue ball all over the place instead of trying to minimize the movement of the cue ball.
Okay. So.
And the 6 does go here. If you want to shoot the 9 and use the 6. The 14 is a little tight, but I think the 6, you might want to look at it from that side and make sure though.
No, I did look at the 6 because I don't see a way to get from the 9 to the 13. And the 6 is kind of tight. If I were to shoot the 6, that allows me to get to the 15, and from the 15, I might be able to get to the 13, just coming right out here towards the middle of the table.
And you can use a 10 ball to get to the 13 because you can hit it full enough. Not now.
Right.
You know, if you shoot the 9 ball and get a thick enough hit on the 10 ball, you can shoot the 10 ball to draw right in between the 5 and the 13 to get there.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. I think I actually like that better. So, see if I can execute.
You get it?
Yes, I did.
See? Now you go on the 13. The key here is if you can, avoid getting straight on the 13. But worst case scenario, if you do get straight on the 13, don't worry about it because you just roll down for the 15.
Okay. So dribble off the side rail. Oh.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, that was just, you know, lack of focus. That's all it is.
All right. Let's try again.
I'm famous for that nowadays. Lack of focus. It's so tough. People don't understand how tough it is. That's why, you know, Jason Shaw and John Schmidt are monsters. They can keep that level of focus, you know, for a long time. You know, when it comes to playing the Pro Tour, your level of focus has to be here from the beginning of the match to the middle of the match to the end of the match. You know, and what the elite players do better than anyone is if they make a mistake, if they miss a shot, if they dog something, they make a massive mistake. Most players take a sharp dip in their focus and it's a struggle to get it back up there. Whereas the players that really want to win, make sure they put it back up there and let the miss go, let the mistake go.
Again.
Hey, Europe #1, that's a cool idea. Summer camps, boot camps for kids.
Actually, what about this opening break shot? I always used to start, like actually my 79 run I think started with this opening break shot. Cutting the one ball into the side pocket and driving into the head of the rack.
That's a great break shot. As long as you're hitting the top two balls. If you hit the side of the ball, you always risk scratching in one pocket or the other. But that the angle you set up is perfect.
Except I missed. Let's try it again. Now, one thing I can say, because I know people might wonder this, but I've had the conversations. If I'm not performing so well, you know, because here I am, a YouTuber with the amount of followers that I have, how can I continue to do what I'm doing? Like, I guess the way to describe it is like I would feel like I'm torturing myself if I'm not performing, but I keep going on. I don't stop. And that's pretty much what I explained to everybody is that, you know, I tried to make sure that I don't come off as a professional. I don't come off as someone that knows exactly what they're doing. I am showing people how I shoot and how I learn at the same time.
That's correct.
And since I'm struggling with something, I have to keep struggling until I eventually fix it.
That's correct. And it's all about the attitude. You know, the difference between the elite players and the amateurs is if we fail, we pick ourselves right back up and go back into focus mode. I let a miss go and I just say, hey, just because I missed a ball doesn't mean I'm playing bad.
Right.
Because you get used to thinking along those lines, and when you do, it actually becomes a habit that becomes harder and harder to break as time goes on. So if you learn how to let go of a miss right away and tell yourself, hey, I'm just going to keep going, you would do yourself a big service because now you're building the resistance to going, am I playing bad or am I going to do what it takes to get back on track and stay on track?
Okay. And I do try to work on that. Okay. I don't really see an issue so much. This is kind of an issue until I move the 9 out of the way.
That's correct.
I mean, I can also just shoot it up here. Break ball, key ball, K2 ball, maybe, because I can just stop, and then or draw back a little for that one. So if I wanted to stick to that, I would try to not want to touch either of these. But this guy's kind of isolated.
Yeah. Well, the thing is this. You will need to get the cue ball somewhere here or somewhere there after getting rid of the 2 ball. Because this, right? The 8 was a break shot, right? Correct?
Or the 7 ball.
Or the 7, okay. So if you want to use the 7 ball, then you can use the 5, 11, 6, 4, there.
Okay.
If you want to use the 8, it's even better because it's easy to get from the 4 to the 5. Easier to get from the 4 to the 5. Boom, 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 boom.
Okay.
You see? So you have a choice. Again, this is a preference pattern. Some people prefer that one. Some people prefer a higher break shot because they can hit the head ball. Some people prefer hitting the middle of the rack.
Okay.
But either pattern is good. But for me, the easiest one that requires a minimal cue ball movement is the 4 to the 5 to the 11 to the 6 to the 8. So now what I got to do is you happen to have a perfect angle to shoot the 2 ball now and come 2 rails and go there. for the 11 and the 13, right?
Right.
The problem with that is if you don't get right on it, now you might have to shoot the 4.
Right.
Right? So that's it. If you don't feel comfortable going there, you feel more comfortable going 2 rails and shooting the 15 and then coming there, then by all means do so. Or if you want to shoot the 2 ball and come 2 rails to the 15, come off the 15, minimize the movement, shoot the 10 ball there, now you open the pocket for the 13. You know, it's still going to go here regardless, you're going to have to get there regardless, but you can use one of these balls to get there.
Right. Okay.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Absolutely perfect.
If I shoot the 13, I bump into the 10. The 10 basically will roll right up next to the 3 and the 14, which I don't think I want to do.
Well, what I like about this is, how do you feel about elevating the cue and shooting the 13 so you draw back for the 10 in the same pocket? You know, that way if you leave it here, just make sure that you don't get too far off that, right? You can do that. Now, the other option that you have is that you can go ahead and shoot this and bump into that nice and slowly, and guess what? Shoot the 4 ball if you have to get to those. Because you can still come back here later. This is still an excellent key ball to get to there and that. You don't need the 4 to exactly get on that. Okay. You don't have to become obsessed with the original plan, right?
Right, okay, okay.
That way it simplifies it and it helps you to focus or concentrate on making the 13. Beautiful. See, now you can use a 4 to get to the 10. And then use a 10 to get to the 7, and the 7 will get you to the 3 in the side. Hey, Mr. Shortstop on pool. What's up, Bob? How's it going? I was bragging about you with the incredible job that you've done with Chris, man. You've done a tremendous job with him.
All right, so I got an off angle that makes me want to draw to the rail and come back out for the
7. And if you can draw back out, right? If you can draw back out to the center of the table, you might want to shoot the 8 ball next. No, the 8 ball's a break shot. What I'm talking about. The 9 ball. You want to get rid of that 9 ball as soon as possible because that 9 ball is an issue.
right?
Now this is where it gets awesome. This is where you have the right to change your mind, right? If you decide that this is too complicated and it's easier for you to get rid of this side and then end up leaving the cue ball here after clearing, the 11, 6, this, then use a 15 to get to the 5 ball. I can't tell you how many times I've used this as a key ball.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I don't get straight on it.
Right.
As long as I don't get straight on it. So that's an option that you have there.
Which I kind of like that option now because the 8 can lead me to these 2 or it can lead me to the 9.
You can get to the 9 right now. And another thing that I like to do sometimes, it all depends. A lot of times if you're here, right, you can end up shooting this and leaving one of these. Once you shoot this, right, when you shoot the 8 ball and you end up getting rid of the 9 ball, now the pocket is going to be open for the 6.
Yep.
So you get rid of the 9 ball, you get rid of those 2, and you come back up here, you can end up using this, using that, and then using the 9. Oh yeah, you got rid of the 9. Use one of these to shoot the 3 ball there, or there, to get to the 5 ball to guarantee you end up with an angle. That way you don't have to worry about the 15.
So the whole time though, when I start in this position, I was thinking that was the key ball because I could cut it into the corner pocket, come off the short rail, and just bend my way up here.
Say that again?
Like if I build a pattern to where I'm either going to shoot the 9 last or the 12 last, whatever, but whatever angle that I have on the 15 here, to have the cue ball do this and come back up for here. But that's assuming that I got rid of this at some point in time,
Exactly.
whatever pattern that I run. But you're saying just leave it there to do this
Yeah,
same
because
exact
you're already
thing.
on this side of the table, so now it's a struggle to get back here. See, the only way that I would say leave that as a possible key ball is if this were already open.
Okay.
You see, because this is open, then when you come here, you can actually shoot the 5 and have a ball to come back down there.
Okay.
Right? So it all depends
Okay.
on the layout. The layout actually determines what you end up doing. Yeah, I was congratulating Bob Keller earlier for his getting his 10,000th subscriber. You've done such a tremendous job. I love your videos. They're very instructional, very helpful, and what you do for the billiard community is absolutely spectacular. And for those of you who don't know, Bob has written a book in straight pool, which I think that, from what I understand, is one of the greatest books ever written in straight pool. I know Phil Capel also wrote one, so congratulations on the success of that. And if you don't have his book, I highly recommend it.
All right. I got a bad angle on the 14.
Okay. So you got a bad angle on the 14, right? So this is what you're going to do. You're going to shoot it. You're going to hit the 3 with enough speed to make sure that it doesn't stop in front of the 7. It goes past the 7. Then the cue ball's going to stop here. You're going to have a perfect shot on the 9 ball.
Okay.
Because the 12 doesn't go by the 9 ball. And that's what you want to do.
Okay.
Right?
So, but then, I guess it still doesn't matter. It's like, is this a better key ball then? Or is this still the key ball?
What do you think?
Alright, so from here, if I shoot the 9 now, so that way the pocket's opened up for the 12 and the 6. Cue ball's naturally coming over here for the 15, unless I want to spin it. But I figure, why do that work when I could just naturally get positioned on the 15? As long as I stay above the 15, I can cut it into there and then come towards the middle of the table and do almost whatever I want. Whether I want to shoot the 9, then shoot the 6 or the 12, get positioned for the 5 or the 3 or the 3 or the 5. But I figured at this
Remember, connect the dots.
I figure at this point I definitely have to go into end pattern mode and basically turn this into a 9 ball pattern, a very specific pattern. So that makes me believe what I want to try to do is go from the 9 over here to the 15.
That's correct.
From the 15, come up here more than likely for the 11. Shoot the 11. Make sure I have a small angle, or actually no, I can get flat on the 6 if I wanted to, because then that automatically gives me some sort of an angle, or whatever angle that I want on this 12 is to hit this rail and then come over here for the 3 or the 5.
Right. You have a couple of choices here. That's one of them. The other one is the 9, the 15, come here, shoot the 12, come here, shoot a stop shot, and then come there.
Okay.
Right? And then the other one is a slightly tougher, but it's a possibility. Come here, go there, come here, excuse me, go there, hit this, and use a 5 to get here, shoot the 6 to come here for the 3 ball, and then the 3 ball to come for the 7.
Okay.
You see? So now, again, this is what I call a preference pattern.
Right.
Because, you know, some people might feel, I know players that will feel comfortable all day just shooting this and going in between the side pocket and that, and then they'll go ahead and shoot this, that, boom.
Right.
Right?
Okay. So let's try this.
Very nice. Very nice. See, now that you landed there, I absolutely love shooting the 12, getting on the 5, using the 5 to the 11 to the 6, and the 6 to the 3.
Okay.
Because you're minimizing the movement of the cue ball, but you're still connecting the dots, and that's how you minimize the movement of the cue ball. And the more you start thinking along these lines, that's why reevaluation is so important, especially when you get out of line. Don't do what most players do. Most players jump on the first pattern they see instead of trying to look at every possibility to see if there's a better option. How many times do you ever make a mistake and say, I just realized I had a better pattern. Why didn't I think about that? Why didn't I take that extra 5 to 15 seconds to look at it to see if I found it?
Okay. Okay.
Now hold on, Chris. See, right there you got straight, and I'm not saying you're taking the wrong shot, not by any stretch of the imagination. If you end up with an angle here on the 11, you can come off the rail to get the angle. But you know, I've seen players where they would shoot the 3, get straight on the 11, shoot a stop shot in the corner, shoot the 6, come down, and then shoot the 5 because it's already on that side anyway, and it's further away or farther away from the 7, so it makes it easier to get position. You don't have to be as perfect when you're here or there or there or there. You see, over here you have to get perfect because if you're not here, you might have to go back and forth. I'm just saying that's something to consider in the future. You don't have to necessarily do this pattern, but again, I'm trying to get you to think along a certain line.
Right, so the only thing that I personally don't like about shooting the 3 ball is I have to go to the rail.
That's fine.
And then
you don't do
come
it.
back out.
You don't do it again. It has to be something you're comfortable with because this is an easier shot. You don't want to end up, and you don't want to finish a run doing something silly. But the reason why I showed you that is not so that you can do it now. In the future, you're going to have a similar pattern like this, but you're going to have another ball that becomes a factor that's going to make that pattern easier.
Okay.
Right?
Okay. Oh, I just missed it.
Oh, you made it. You made it.
All right, so I don't want to get flat on the 6. I have to have some sort of an angle, so I need to make sure I bump off the rail.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said originally. If you end up with an angle, you just bump off the rail. Little more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little more than that because now you're going to have to do some heavy lifting here. And I think you might have enough angle to go 2 rails with inside, right?
2 rails with inside?
Do you have enough angle to do that? Or
I
do you want to
do
draw
that.
it with low right?
I was actually going to stun it.
Oh, you have that much angle?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, I don't know. Yeah, that looks like you could... See, because I'd rather hit it with moderate speed instead of smash it speed because something can go wrong if you mishit it or something. I think it's way easier hitting. You have a perfect angle to go with just 1/2 tip of left. 2 rails, bottom rail, and go right towards that 3 ball. Right. Not on that side. No, not on that side. You don't have that kind of angle.
Oh, you want me to go behind the 3 ball?
No. You have, let me look at the angle again. Let me look at it from this side.
Sure.
Oh yeah, you have a beautiful angle here. You can actually hit it with just like a corner tip of left. Follow, 1, 2. There.
Okay. I was actually worried about flirting with the side pocket when you said that.
Well, it's only good. You're only going to go to the side pocket if you accidentally hit it with too much spin, because that's going to widen the angle coming off the bottom rail if you do.
All right.
Boom. You see that? Look how beautifully you hit that. You hit it perfectly. And like I said, you see, now if you have to go back and forth, that's not a big deal. You're familiar with this shot. Mm-hmm. You know, the one piece of advice that I always give people is when it comes to shots like this, always make sure that you come off the 3rd rail. Why? Because the biggest mistake I see players make is they go 1 rail, 2 rails, and they try to stop here, and the tendency is almost always they end up overhitting the ball and they end up frozen to the rail. Mm-hmm. So why not come off the 3rd rail to make sure that you're at least not frozen and you have somewhat of a decent cut shot for a break shot.
Okay. Now I'm on the inside, like you said, though. I would end up having to stun the ball. Plus, I just didn't even cut the 3 ball enough. All right, so I think that was the closest I've gotten to finishing.
No, that was a nice rack. Bob Keller, if you're still there, you decide and to when is your next attempt at
200.
200?
That's what he's trying to do lately.
Yeah. I can't wait to see you get to 200.
How long have I been at this so far? Let me check the time. Just almost 2 hours. So I figured at this point I'll probably make 1 or 2 more attempts, and then I'll let you have the table from here, so people can see see you shoot.
I can't believe we've almost been doing 2 hours. I feel like it's only been like 1 hour. This is crazy how,
Yeah,
how
I
this
mean,
flies. Wow.
The time will fly when you're live streaming.
Wow, that's crazy.
So yeah, I'm gonna try maybe a couple more attempts, and then I'm gonna let you have the table. Keep rolling 13. Ah, never mind. Okay. I can make the 2 ball, but I don't really have a good shot after that. So I kind of like rolling the 3 ball at least because I will have the 5 or the 14 to kind of set me up for the next shot. That's a little tricky.
Mm-hmm. But if you're able to roll it enough to where you can slow it down and not move the cue ball much, you can always use a 14 to run into the 10 and have the 5 as a Geico.
Yes. Okay. As long as I have the angle to where when I cut the 14 in, I hit the rail, come up here and
That's
bump into
correct.
it. Yep. Okay. Which I think I'm a little flat. Yeah, a little too flat.
Well, I mean, can you follow it? Can you follow it? Well, let me look at it from this side.
Sure.
I just want to know if you could follow it and come between the 6 and the 15, but you don't, you can't. So what you want to do here, and be very, very careful with this, if you can hit it with a lot of right, the cue ball is going to hit here, hit there, bypass the 2 ball and come here. See, and if you want to hit it with enough speed, you can play the 12 there. If not, then you can just play the 4 or play the 11 in the side pocket.
So I see what you're saying, but then when this is, so I know this is going to be something I'm going to struggle with. Minimizing the cue ball movement.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's not minimizing the
No, it's
cue ball movement when I can minimize the cue ball movement and shoot this guy next.
That's correct. You can definitely do that, but you still have to be precise with the speed coming off here to stop there between the 11 and the 8.
Okay.
You see what I'm getting at? See, because I'm trying to get you to get rid of this problem as soon as possible, because I always look to see where I can bump the ball. If you get here and you shoot this and you bump it there, you might have the 8 on the side, you might have the 8 in the corner, depending where you move.
Okay.
Right? So again, there's nothing wrong with this. If you're uncomfortable with it, don't shoot it. Because if you're uncomfortable with this, don't shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have a plan and you have a pattern, then you make your decision from there.
Okay. I am going to go ahead and try your suggestion though, and see if I can get in between the 2 and the 12. I turned the 2 ball into a break ball.
Now let me look at that 4 ball for a second. Right?
Well, because I thought about shooting the 4, get up to the 7.
Mm-hmm.
That'll allow me to get up and deal with the 13, but then I'm also at this angle to deal with these guys. Because I do want to get rid of him.
Yeah, well, I'm looking to see if the able, does the able go here? Does the able go there?
No.
Okay. See, because what I was thinking is you could shoot the 4 to the 9 to the 11 to the 8, and then use one of these to break that up. You know, while still retaining the 2 ball.
Right.
But since the 8 doesn't go, that presents a problem, so you might as well try to get rid of whatever you can first. And also, the other thing that you have here, well, you have what I call an in-between angle, and I don't like that. You can shoot the 2 ball now and break that up, and potentially have the 4 there, or the 15 here, but you have to hit it with stun foul in order to do that. You can take care of the problem now, but then you're going to have to create another break shot. And the 10 might be that break shot. If you hit it just soft enough, you don't really have to hit it hard. I said earlier, when you're just playing into a 2 or 3 ball cluster, it's not necessary for you to smash the ball. You don't have to hit it hard at all. You just basically.
But what about the 12 ball being a break ball then?
The 12 ball is definitely a break ball because the 15 does go past the 12 ball.
Okay. So let's see if I can bump the 6 out, or the 10 out into the open. Oh, I didn't realize I was going to get the 12.
Yeah. Well, I think what happened there is you might have accidentally hit it a little too low.
Okay.
And it happens, you know, but now you have to reevaluate again. Now, this is another reason why ring around the rosy is so important. See, because if, let's say you shoot the 11 and you get straight on the 13, you get straight on the 11, for example. If you're able to stop the cue ball here, this is what ring around the rosy will do. Make this, you hit here, and you barely graze the top of the 6. So that means the cue ball will hit here, hit there, and stop around this area.
Okay.
You see?
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is because I demonstrated that earlier, and that's what you should be looking at all times whenever you're going to run into a cluster. Just to have an idea of more or less where the balls are going to stop. Joshie, when it comes to the fundamentals, even if you practice just for 1 hour a day and you have that arm moving and you're practicing on your technique, you're going to be in good shape. But obviously, the more time you put in, the more you get out of it. It's okay. Now you can use a 7 to get straight on that. To stop the ball there, right?
Yep. Alright, so now I have that angle to do what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Am I stunning this?
Well, look at it. Look at the angle before you make that decision, right?
Yeah. I got the hit on the 12
If
there.
you got the hit on the 12 here,
That
right?
clips the 15
That
automatically.
clips the 15, but it looks like it's hitting it on the thick side. You might not even run into that 6. You might just go straight to the 8 and hit it underneath. You hit it underneath. I keep thinking someone's not.
No, it's just the garage door creaking.
Once you hit this, a cue ball might end up creeping up here. You might end up having a little bit of a problem there.
So what about if I use a little bit of follow, so that way when I hit the 15, I should be guaranteed to hit the
Exactly
6.
what I was going to say, but you don't hit it hard, because if you hit it hard, it stays longer in that tangent line. You see that?
Okay.
You want to make sure you give it a chance to like swerve a bit after it comes off the 15.
Okay.
It's pretty awesome.
That worked out. Now, my only other issue is I don't really have a break ball. Or an obvious one that I can see.
Yeah, the only one that I see here, to be honest with you, is a 5 ball. The 10 ball is out of the rack, but then you're gonna end up very close to the ball, because this ball ends up coming here.
Yep.
See, so you can still make it, but you're gonna hit the bottom of the rack.
Right.
So, worst case scenario, you can do that. The other shot is if you decide to shoot the 4 ball and leave the cue ball here for the 9 ball break shot, you can also do that as well.
Going into the rail.
Right? If you want to keep it simple, you do that. But if you decide that you wanted to shoot the 5,
I need to be somewhere like this where I can cut it.
well,
Hit
I
this.
would shoot the 10 to get on, the 15 to get on the 10, shoot a stop shot on the 10, and then just stop it right here. It's an easy enough cut from there. You always have the connection. You just have, once you find the connection, it becomes easier for you to see all of these. And that's why I keep repeating that, because I want to get you thinking along those lines.
Okay. So
Because I'm always looking for how can I connect the dots here? Is there a way to connect the dots here?
if I want to do that, then it seems like I have to shoot the 8, draw over here for the 6, from the 6 to the 4, but then I have to use the 9 to come back over here.
Yep.
To do that.
Yep.
Okay. See if I can do that.
And remember, you don't have to choose that pattern. You can choose the other one. Very nice.
So stop shot will work. Well, I have an angle, so it's not really a stop. Actually, I need to stun it.
Mm-hmm. Now, just so you know, the other one, there's one that we overlooked. That we could have done too, so for future reference, when it comes up, you know to look for it. This is an excellent break shot for coming 2 rails behind the rack, and that will be a perfect candidate to keep you there. You see that? So, again, this is what I mean by thinking that extra 10, 15 seconds to look for the other possibility.
Okay.
That would have been actually a better one. because you could have just gotten rid of these balls and then come back up here for the 15 and then do the stop shot. But you're already committed to this one, that's fine.
Okay. Sure, I have an angle on the 9 to get back over here for the 15. And here I probably wouldn't mind getting flat on the 15.
Yeah, I
Stop. Ah.
Ooh, just a little too hard?
Yeah,
Well, then try to get straight on the 10 on the same pocket.
right.
And if you have to shoot like a soft follow, a short, soft stun, then you can. Alex Martinez, you said if am I going to start my own YouTube channel? I actually started one in 2020, right when the pandemic hit, before I moved out of New York and into Florida. So I'm just waiting. They just started the demolition process of our house not too long ago. And it's going to be, my pool room is going to be, they're going to build a pool room / home theater for me in our house. And it should be ready by December, January. And once I have the pool table set up, I'm going to start doing videos there.
Uh-oh, it's too soft. Well, I'm on
But
the next rack.
Oh.
I just hit this one too
Gotcha.
soft.
But I did a lot of work in New York with actors. I showed Chris a picture earlier of with me and John Bernthal because I helped him out in a pool shooting scene for Marvel's The Punisher, which they never used, by the way. They didn't end up using the scene.
Yeah,
But they still paid me $1,000 for 4 hours of work. So.
Nice.
Yeah, because that's what I charge by the day when I do the movie work. And I also did 2 episodes of Daredevil with Charlie Cox. And, they did show that part. One when the priest was playing and one when Charlie was playing. Also work on HBO's Boardwalk Empire, CBS's Limited, USA's White Collar. I also made a brief appearance in a movie called Turn the River with Famke Janssen, who played the Phoenix in the X-Men.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I only see...
I'm in Miami.
I only see a Hail Mary shot here. I can try to cut the 5 ball over here because it is cuttable, which means I need to make my cue ball go here. I have to hit the rail before the side pocket to have a chance for it to do this and come into the rack this way.
Well, why not hit it, right? So that it'll hit the point and go straight to the rack. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You gotta have some fun, right?
Yeah, for sure. Let's see if I can do this here. This is a super thin cut shot. All right, so that pretty much ends on a 14. So I at least got to the second rack finally, but that's also with a lot of talking. Like you said, and some of my viewers already know that when I don't talk, if I can just maintain absolute focus, I can typically do better. So since we are reaching the 2-hour mark, I'd like you to take the floor.
Oh,
and show,
okay.
And show our viewers what you can do. And basically do the same thing I did though, just voice your thoughts out. How are you trying to break things down?
Yeah, I'll tell you how crazy we think. Right?
So if you got bored watching me play, hopefully this will reignite wanting you to watch.
Yeah, just keep in mind, when I play well, I'm Tony Robles. When I play bad, I'm Tony Hopeless. So.
And then keep the questions coming because I can relay them to Tony if he wants to answer them without breaking his concentration.
Well, I'm going to be talking during the run to give you guys an idea of what my thought process is.
Okay, so you did the top spin shot, and that because of the way the cue ball reacted, you were actually hitting the top of the ball. Mm-hmm. So that means the ball is supposed to go back towards the head rail, but you forced it over to the side rail.
That's correct. So now I notice right away that this is a big problem right here, and this is a major problem. So I got 2 clusters to deal with because I don't have combination shot, right? And I don't think the one goes there either. It does not. So I have to figure out a way to get rid of that as soon as possible. One way to do it is to shoot the 9 and gain an angle on the 11 ball, so that if I get just the right angle, I can shoot the 11 with this side spinning. If I go around the 1 and run into the 15, I'll end up with the 1 ball in the same pocket.
Okay, real quick, let me check with the viewers. Can y'all hear Tony okay with him out at the table? Give me a thumbs up in the chat if y'all can hear him okay. Which, by the way, Tony, we have 117 people watching.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. So now, since I didn't get good on the 11, I'm going to try to use a 10 to get on the 11. Okay, so let me look at this for a second because I think I have an opportunity to just nudge that 12 ball. And if I nudge a 12 ball the way I want to, if I hit the top side of the 12, which is what I intend to do, the 12 is going to come off the rail first and take the 7 out, and the cue ball is going to slide to this side. So potentially I'm ending up trying to play position for the 7 in the same pocket or the 12 in the same pocket.
Okay. I have a question here for you. This is from Smokin' Joe. He wants to know, how did you like working with or playing with, it's already scrolled off the screen, Jimmy Mattia, Pretty Boy Floyd?
I never worked with him, but I knew Jimmy. Jimmy was hilarious. He's a hilarious guy. He played in the World Straight Pool, and this was good about this. You get to tell stories, too. When Dennis Okoye first came to the United States, one of the first tournaments he played in was the World Straight Pool at I think it was a Hilton Hotel in New Jersey. And Dennis didn't get as good as he wanted on the break shot. The break shot's here and the cue ball's there. He could still break it, but it wasn't a great angle. So Jimmy said, "You don't like that angle? Here." Took the cue ball and put it right there. In the middle of a match in the World Championship, and Dennis looked at him like, "What's this guy doing?"
Wow.
He said, "Oh, you don't like it there? Then let me put it closer." He brought the cue ball closer. And you know what he did after that? Jimmy ran, right, out of the play arena. He said, "I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back." Jumped over whatever they were using to block people from coming in, gave Nick Varner a big hug and then a kiss, and went to the bathroom. It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It was hilarious, actually.
That's funny. People want to, or Chris Curtis wants to know, do you have a break ball already in mind? Or are you still trying to solve the rack?
I'm still trying to solve the rack before I decide if it's going to be the 6, the 8, or if I'm going to create one.
Okay.
Right? Because right now, as it stands, I have the 7. Remember I told you, if I hit that cluster, I'm going to end up with the 7 or the 12 in the same pocket, which I wound up with the 7. So again, when that happens, you have to reassess, right? So I'm trying to figure out how to get on that. If I can get on that 11 ball, I'm going to end up in good shape. And if I want to, I can actually try to run in between these balls now, as long as I know I have an insurance shot. And I kind of don't like that because that's a risk. See, what I'm thinking of doing too, I can leave the cue ball here. I need to get rid of this. I think this is my priority right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to play this 12 ball in the same pocket.
Look how he doesn't even hesitate when he shoots.
What's that?
So I was telling the viewers how you don't even hesitate when you shoot.
Now this is where it's going to be tricky. Now see, I'm trying to get perfect on that 11.
Because you're going to run into the 8 unless you try to sink through it.
It's just that I'm trying to get used to the speed a bit, because what I was trying to do is this. I was trying to stop it here so I can hit enough of the 8 to shoot this and run into the 2 and stop it by the side as a potential key ball for that while playing position for the 11.
Okay.
So I can't see the 8. I can't make the 8. So now I want to see if I can throw that 1 ball in. Because I think if I put enough spin and I hit it soft enough, I might be able to throw it in. The question is, which ball am I going to play position for? It could be the 6. Or, better yet, let me get rid of this 11 and run into the 6. Right? Now, problem solved. So now, I'm going to run into the 14. Yeah, I have that funny angle where I'm going to go right in between. If I hit this soft, I'm going to freeze right on that 14. Let me take a look at this. So let me see if I can play position. Oh, I'm gonna hit it on the thicker side and just tap it. See, I was hoping to get the 15 out, a little more than that.
Right.
See, now what I don't like about this here is I don't have the option to hit center ball unless I elevate the cue like this. You see?
Yep.
And if I do that, I want to make sure that I hit it with enough right spin so that I can at least hit half of the 14 to slow down the cue ball for the 1 ball. Because what I want to do is ultimately I want to shoot the 2, the 3, the 6, and stop the cue ball there for the 12.
Okay.
So if I can slow down the cue ball there and bring the 14 above the 2, now I can use the 1 to get to the 14 and the 14 to get to the 2 and up there.
Okay.
So I have to hit this one really good and with some spin to make sure I try to hit at least half of the ball. See, but I hit the 3, that's okay. That's fine, I'm good.
So it looks like your 12 ball is going to be your break ball.
Yeah, 12 ball is going to be the break ball for sure, but I have to figure out the pattern. So what I like here is shooting the 2 ball next, right? And then using the 2 to come across for the 3 to come here for the 1 to come here for the 6.
Yep.
Right?
And I didn't see that because I was thinking the 3 ball would be the key ball.
Well, that's why, like I said, I'm trying to get you to think along those lines, so that way you always look for connected dots as much as possible, right?
Right.
That way you start seeing it better. Oh wow, I hit that.
A little too hard.
Woo, woo.
Inside spin, or are you going to 3-rail it?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go inside spin here. Oh boy, I jumped up on that one. Okay, that's all right, reset. And this is what I mean. This is what I mean by what I said earlier. You know, when you mess up on a shot like that, it's a pass.
Right.
It's a pass. I have a goal. I want to run balls. I'm not going to run balls if I'm angry.
No, correct.
It's just you're completely wasting your time. And you know, it teaches you how to become more resilient in competition. Hey, I didn't come here to lose. I came here to win. Am I going to let that shot take away me from possibly winning? No.
Right. I like it. I like it. Yep, shortstop on pool says your K2 ball is usually diagonal from your key ball, so you ended up using that ball or the 1 ball here to get you on the 6.
Mm-hmm. Bob knows his stuff, believe me. Bob is a hell of a player and a hell of an instructor. So right here, it looks like I'm gonna hit the 3 dead on. And you remember when I showed you this a while back? When I told you that if you have an angle, right, where you're going to hit this ball dead square, you know how when you break an 8 ball, 9 ball, and 10 ball, when the cue ball strikes a head ball, it's pushed back because of the weight of the balls, but the 1 ball also pops out quickly.
Right.
Same thing happens here. If you shoot this, let's say, for example, I have an angle here, and I have an angle where it's going to take me directly to the 15. If you hit it with the correct speed, especially on a 9-foot table, that 15 will pop out and stop in break shot territory for the following rack.
Okay.
Yeah, so you know that's something to consider if you know you have that line where it's going to take you directly to the ball, right? Because what I noticed when I tried this the other day, I was in Vegas and I was teaching Francisco Sanchez Ruiz some straight pool because you know him and his buddy wanted to learn because I convinced him to play in the American 14.1 this year. And when I was practicing with him, we were doing it on a 7-foot table, and when I did the same shot on the 7-foot table, that ball hit here and went up there like fast because it's short distance. Where the 9-footer, it doesn't move as much. If it comes off the rail, it's going to stop in break shot territory, or it's just going to stop there in general. You just have to figure out how slow or fast the table is, so that way you determine what speed to hit the ball with.
Okay.
You see how on this table, look, it hit here and went up there. See?
Yep.
Okay, so this combination is straight. This is a nightmare, so I got to try to get to this as soon as possible. So I'm going to risk trying to get there now because I had this as a possible backup shot. So before I think of anything else, I'm going to try and get rid of that trouble right away.
Yep. Basically the same kind of strategy you use an 8 ball. Deal with your problem spots as soon as possible.
Yeah. No, you want to get rid of trouble as soon as possible. Now, I can shoot the 7 ball after the 3 ball at some point. I can shoot the 3 ball to break these up. Or I can leave the cue ball, if I get good on the 3 ball over here, and break them up that way. I have an option. But again, I always try to stay on top of it if I can so that I can control the ball to end up with a shot. So yeah, I'm gonna hit the 13. I have to be careful because if I run into that 9, I might scratch.
Nice. Raymond Phillips wants to know what's your highest run?
268.
268.
Once I hit 200, in my career, I ran 200 like 20 or more times. You know, but this is when I was practicing straight pool literally 10 to 12 hours a day. This is before I had a son, you know, a family, whatever. Once I had the family, all of that stopped.
Yep. I think a lot of people can relate to that once you have a family.
So I kind of like leaving this here alone. I if I wanted to, I can kind of shoot this and shoot the combo, but I don't want to do that yet because I want to see if I can get to the 3.
So just to be clear and kind of repeat things, you currently don't still have a break ball, or
No.
you're not thinking about one.
I'm thinking of the 2 as a possible break ball for now.
Okay.
Because first I want to go ahead and get rid of this because I'm also considering the 2. See, the reason I'm not getting rid of the 2 ball is I'm trying to get on the 3 ball, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I get on the 3 ball and I overdraw this and end up here, I have the 2 as a Geico, right? So before I go to the 3 ball, this is a mistake that I tell you people make all the time. They don't come here to look to see what part of the 4 they're going to hit.
Okay.
See, because the angle that I'm looking at here right now is telling me that there's a good chance I might hit the 4 ball so full that I might miss all the balls.
Okay.
Right? So, and if I hit it underneath, it's just going to move the 6. The 4 is going to get out of the way. The 6 is going to get out of the way. So since I know that I don't have a lot of movement, I want to draw the ball out of there.
Okay.
Because if the ball stops here, I'm going to end up getting stuck.
Okay.
So now the 1 is in break shot territory, right? So since the 1 is in break shot territory, I can use that as a break shot and try to leave this group for last after getting rid of this group next.
Okay.
Right? So all I gotta do is just figure out the pattern from here. And this is a tricky part because obviously I have to get rid of the 4 so that these 2 can go there. So I'm gonna try to attack that 4 as soon as possible. And I might use the 2 to get to the 6, 7. But man, if this is what I call a dummy ball. It serves no purpose whatsoever. All it's doing is making my life difficult because if that ball weren't there, this would be a much easier pattern. Anyway. All right. Okay, I think I have a pattern. This is what I'm looking at. 14, combo, and then the 15. Come down here for that, then come back up here, and then use this to come back down there for the 6 ball. Use the 6 ball to get to the 10 ball. Use the 10 ball to get to the 7 ball. Use the 7 ball to get to the 8 ball. Use the 8 ball to get to the 1 ball.
Okay.
Minimal cue ball movement.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, sometimes people say, why are you going so fast? Because I see the patterns. I can't help it. This is what I've been playing all my life. I love this game. See, now this is where it can get very, very tricky. And this is some advice that I give people. Master this shot with outside spin, with no spin, and with inside spin. Because if you don't, you're going to make your life a lot tougher, right? A lot of times a player would prefer to hit here and come here, shoot this, come back up here for the 2, and use this to get to those last 3 balls, right? But why do that when you can just go like this? Boom, boom, boom. So since that's the case, why would I complicate it when I could just simply shoot this, come off the rail, and shoot a combo, right? So in other words, shoot the combo when it's advantageous for you, especially if it's a simple combo.
Okay.
Right? But again, I chose this route because does it really make sense for me to shoot the cue ball and come here and shoot there and hope I get on this side of the 2? What if I underhit it? Oh, now I got to go back up and down. What if I overhit it? Now I still have to go down a bit. When all I got to do is just tap it. word of advice. Every once in a while, you have a situation like this where this ball is a little more on this side. If it's a little more on this side, it's perfectly okay for you to hit here, stop here, shoot the 6 to the 4, or just a 6 if the 4 is in there, and have the cue ball move the 8 ball here because the 7 is there. I wouldn't do it because the 7 is there, but if the 7 was there, I wouldn't hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because again, I'm always trying to make my life easier when it comes to pattern play. And just talking about that, I have to make sure I know where I want the cue ball for this one. Okay, so now we evaluate, figure out the pattern from here. Okay, so this is going to be a tricky one. Because I'm thinking of somehow hitting the 8 in the corner and shooting the 7 to get to these and use one of those as a key ball. Yep, I love that. See, because I have just the right angle on the 8 ball to come back for the 10 ball. Well, if I make the 8 ball. Oh, come on! Right?
Oh, that's too funny.
That's okay. Wait,
So
listen, believe me, I'm going to get out of the first rack.
Shortstop on Pool has a question for you.
Yeah.
It says, when you are playing 12 hours a day, what percentage of your run attempts end up 50 or less?
50, well, when I was practicing 12 hours a day, I never left the building without running 100, 150 balls. But my average was about in the 50s and the 70s, sometimes in the 80s. Yeah, that was my average back then. But you know, having 50, 70, and 80 average is amazing because if you're playing in a world championship and you run 280s, you're out in 2 innings.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's 160 ball.
Yeah, no,
And,
for sure.
You only get there by putting in that much time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to put in the time, and you know, I obviously don't have that time anymore.
Right.
Yeah, I have a Delta 13 rack too. They were actually sponsors of my tour.
Nice. Peter PGS, you can find Tony on Facebook.
Let's try this one. Remember we did this one earlier? Where you hit the cue ball, you hit the side, and the cue ball sometimes hits here and tries to scratch, and then it'll tail off before it scratches, and then it goes back and forth.
Mm-hmm. Just don't jump the cue ball off the table.
Yeah, I did that earlier because, you know, the table's so small and I was elevated a bit, you know? Well, I had to make the ball. Come on!
When he was trying to exactly do what he was talking about, he'd make the ball, the cue ball would hit the second ball, but since he was elevated, the cue ball would pop off of the second ball and then just jump right off the table.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. Definitely don't want to do that. Focus on this ball.
That was incredible. Did you see how the cue ball still wanted to hop off the table?
See, this is a break shot. This is a key ball. So I'm probably going to leave one of these balls in the bottom here to get to the 3 for that break shot. So once I establish that and I see that this is a problem here, I mean, if I can get here, this is a pretty straight combo. So I think I'll be fine in that department. What I like about this too is that I can actually maybe create a break shot on that side of the table by moving the 8 a bit, right? Maybe use this as a ball, but more importantly, I wanted to do that so I can get the correct angle on 13 to come back up here for the possible combo. And if I wanted to, I could really try breaking them up. But the problem with that is you have to be too precise because if you hit this side of the ball, it might hit the rail and the cue ball will separate and then hit the 4 and stop there. You end up with the 10. But then if you hit in between them, you have to hit a perfect speed so that they won't bounce off too much. But then if you hit the 4 here, depending on how you hit it, you might have the 10, but you might end up close to the pocket. So I'm always looking at what could happen if I hit this side, that side, or the other, or in between.
Okay.
Because normally I like to hit here and just come short. The problem is I can't come short.
because the 8 is in the way, the 7 is in the way.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hit this with moderate speed to just tap it. And I got in trouble. Thank God for my long straight shot technique. Except I'm shooting over a ball. Alright? Come on, you know, I don't think I need more than 2 balls there, right? You know, I'll tell you something funny. When I was on Long Island, I quit playing for a year. This is me having my Brunswick at home. And when I tried coming back, Chris, I couldn't get into double digits for about maybe 3-4 months. I was going nuts, man.
Yeah.
I was going nuts.
Well, that's what these viewers have seen me do time and time again when I don't get out of the first rack.
Yeah. Well, look at this one. This one's a cool one, right? If you take the rack and you dissect it by moving the core of the rack, right? We have a behind the rack break shot like this where you're going to hit like half of this ball, right? The 13 hits a 4, the 4 hits a 7, the 7 hits a 10, the 10 comes out here. The 10 sends a 5, here is another potential break shot. So if you hit it softly, the cue ball will come out here and you're playing position for the 10 in the side or in the corner, so that after you make it, then you shoot the 5 and re-break them. Now, why would I do something like that when I have this shot here? I would only do that because I had that one funny angle. First of all, if you have to make sure they're frozen. See, the 5 isn't touching the ball.
Remember, line the lines up with the rack.
I can't see this shadow.
There you
There you
go.
go. And second of all, when you have a break shot like this, it's very easy for you to come off the 11 with spin and go straight to the side pocket. You know, the tricky part about this is hitting with enough spin to make sure you avoid going behind the 11, right? And then I'll show you another cool trick after that, right? That comes up often. So I'm playing position for the 10 to then get here. Big mistake people make is when they shoot this and they leave the cue ball here, a lot of time the cue ball will go into the rack and run into the 11 and you have no shot if you hit it soft. So you always want to hit it again. We're going to go back to the just in case speed. So hit it with enough speed so that just in case you run into the 11 ball, you still give the cue ball a chance to escape from the 11.
So I hope everybody heard about how he literally dissected the rack and basically understands what the rack is going to do when he runs into it. That's kind of similar to what I did with the 9-ball rack using a template rack. And to where I can predict what my 9-ball break pattern is going to look like. He's already doing it with straight pull, and that's a level that I want to get to where when I know the cue ball is going to go into the rack and hit a certain ball, I know how the rack is going to open up.
See, so I'm trying to play position for the 3 and the 12 in the same pocket as the 9 ball. Not if I hit it like that. Lord have mercy. Man. No wonder you say, oh, come on.
That's a good shot.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have to come to that, right?
No, you are correct.
So I'm thinking, is that a possible break shot if I have ball in hand behind the line? Not really. I'm not liking my chances there.
Tony, just so you know, you have 127 people watching you.
Oh, nice. So 7 goals, 7 goals. So I'm going to try to get a position for this. 6 and then 7.
Not from that angle.
No.
Oh, jeez, what a draw stroke.
Well,
all this trouble just to get in between the 14 and the 11, but at least I have the 12 balls a break shot. But the goal here, right, is if I get right on that 2 ball, is not to just run to the 14 and to the 11, but end up with a shot on the 11 and leave the 14 low enough, right, where I can use one of those for one of these to break up. And I kind of like this. We spoke about this earlier. Remember we spoke about this earlier? Where this ball is in a prime position to stop it in this area to use the 11 as a cut shot, you know, to break the balls.
Yep.
The problem with these behind the rack break shots when you're playing in a smaller table is that the rack is closer to the bottom rail, which increases the chances of you either getting stuck behind the rack or scratching in one of the corner pockets.
Yep. Smokin' Joe wants to know, how did I convince Tony to come to my house? I didn't have to convince him. He contacted me. Because he knew that I lived in the Central Texas area and wanted to see about setting up some clinics. So I called some contacts of mine, and we were able to set up some pool halls in Austin, Texas, to where he can actually hold the clinics. There you have it. He's out of the first rack.
See, now, we spoke about this earlier. Remember that we spoke about ring around the rosy?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing happens here. If you come here and you hit this ball first, the cue ball is going to hit the 10 and want to come down there. That's why it's such a tricky shot, because you have to hope you hit the corner ball. But also, if you don't want to hit it with that much speed that way. And even if you hit it soft, you end up hitting this ball so thin where it still has enough speed that when it comes off the second ball, it still ends up behind the rack.
Okay.
So the other thing that you could do is try to hit it hard and hope you get lucky and not scratch and end up with a shot. I don't like that though. I think you increase the chances of missing the shot. That's exactly what I was talking about, right? When I had the 12, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So now let's take a look at this for a second. Do I have the 10? No, I do not have the 10. The tangent line is telling me that I'm going to hit the 7 and run into the 8. And there's a good chance that I might run into the 3. If I hit the 3 before I run into the 8, the cue ball is going to want to stay around that area. So I have to hope that maybe I end up with the 6 there if one of these decides not to end up going there. So, but at least it gives me a better idea of what speed to hit it with, but I don't want to smash this.
Okay.
I just want to hit it with enough follow to get some forward momentum. Wow, I have to make the
But
ball.
you got to cut the ball. MHF, I purposely turned off the second screen so you can see more of Tony when he's talking in that particular area. So you should still be able to hear me, though.
Can they hear me?
Yeah, they can hear you. But you know how I had the little window in the upper left corner? I turned that one off. So all they see is you now. They don't even see me.
Gotcha. I'm not gonna lie, man. Playing in these small tables is tough action. See, now I gotta try to come back for the 3 and the 4 in the side or the 2 in the corner.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm going in there. No doubt about it.
Right into the drink.
What's that?
I said right into the drink. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pose this question. How many of y'all would like to see a, I don't know, we'll maybe say race to 100 or race to 150 exhibition match between Tony and I? Light up the chat and let me know what y'all see or what y'all want.
See right here, this is automatic, man. Boom. this 4 to be able to make this there, and I can use the 4 to get to the 15.
Okay.
Oh, that's not gonna happen. That came short, so now I have to come around. See, now I come back.
So you pretty much have a solved rack here as far as I'm concerned. But do you go into end pattern mode at this point?
No, not yet, because I want to make sure that I get rid of that that
15
there
ball
is a problem.
Okay.
It's definitely a problem. And, right now, I already screwed up position here. I'm considering shooting the 3 next. The 3's a shot because I just have an awkward angle here.
Okay.
And this is when I told you that sometimes you're better off taking the slightly more difficult shot to make the run out easier. Remember we spoke about that?
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing. It looks like so we've got some people that understand that I'm a huge underdog if we play an exhibition match. So shortstop on pool is suggesting that when it's your turn, you have to score at least 25 on your inning.
25 no count.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. It sounds like we have a game.
Did you know when I practiced 12 hours a day, I used to play 50 and 100 no count?
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but that's when I was running balls. See now over here, 15 to the 6. And then 6 to the 11, stop shot. Then come out here for the 1, use the 1 to get to here, and those 2 last. Right?
Okay.
If I really wanted to, I can stop the cue ball there and then shoot one of those and then come for the 11 and shoot the 1 and then the 7. That way I only have to shoot 1. But in this case, I'd rather have the option. I like having the option.
Oh, that didn't sound good.
That was a miscue.
Yeah.
That was a miscue for sure.
There we go.
Yeah, like I said before, I give you a lot of credit for running 79 on this table because it's a top table. I tell you, running 100 here is like running 200.
Well, if I can try to pick up what you're putting down as far as the different approaches and seeing some of those run out patterns that you already showed me that I didn't see originally.
Mm-hmm.
If I can start building that habit, then hopefully I start seeing the increased average that I want to see. How
So
could
now over here, I'm going to try to come off the cushion and slightly tap the 9 so it'll get out of the way and the cue ball stop more or less right there for the 11 ball. But I don't want to hit it too hard because I don't want the 9 to end up going anywhere near that 7 and 2 and creating another cluster.
Nice.
Right? See now here, I'm actually going to shoot the 10 ball and get position on the 7 and break up that cluster and use the 14 as a guide code. Now if I wanted to, I can hit it with stun instead of draw, right? This is where the 90-degree angle is taking me, right? This way. Hit it with a little stun draw.
Can you move
So
to
that
one
with-
side so the camera can see you?
Oh yeah, right here. If I can hit this 3 ball on the thinner side, now I create a tangent line to hit the 6 ball to bring it in break shot territory while breaking this up and still ending up with a shot on the. So again, the reason why I keep repeating this is because I'm not going into this cluster blindly. I have a purpose. I'm looking for the angle, and by recognizing that angle, it gives me a better idea of what speed to hit the ball with.
Gotcha.
You know, the only problem that I see with this is since the 3 will run into the 1 ball, the cue ball might try to get stuck on the 3.
Okay.
Right? And if that's the case, hopefully I get lucky enough to end up with the 6 on the side of the corner. But anyway, see, I hit it a little too hard, but now the 1 ball popped up there.
Okay.
So yeah, that's definitely the shot because now you got this to that, and this to that. Right? I can also leave the cue ball here and end up taking the side pocket break shot. And then this is kind of easy because I'm hitting it, and this is a thing. If you hit this shot, this happens a lot. You come off here, if you do it with no plan, you end up hitting here, hitting there, and coming here, sometimes even freezing on that ball, and if you can't see that, you gotta shoot over a ball. So you can't be, you can't shoot this, you know, without really thinking about it. I'm really trying to hit the 3 because I know if I hit the 3, then the cue ball might come out on this side, right?
Okay.
So I'm really trying to avoid running into the 12, but if I do, at least I'm gonna hit it soft, right?
Gotcha.
All right. Well, you know, believe it or not, I can't see that 11. So I'm gonna have to shoot the 13. And since I'm gonna shoot the 13, I might as well play position for the 12 over here and open up that pocket. Then what I'm seeing here is potentially getting rid of these, and then using the 6 to get to the 3, and using the 3 to get to this side of the 5, and use the 5 to get there for the 1 ball. Oh wow, missed it.
Whoops.
Missed it. Yeah, I definitely try to steer the cue ball there, for sure. But I'm hard-headed. So what do you guys think about what John Schmidt is doing? Do you think he's going to break Jason's record? I think he is.
What do y'all think, people? Do you think if you've seen the Q Sports Live Facebook page or their YouTube channel, you'll see that John Schmidt is currently playing on a 9-foot gold crown that has 5-inch pockets, and he's currently trying to beat Jason Shaw's record. Do you think he'll be able to do it in the time limit that they're giving him?
I'm trying to take out that break shot of the 11. I mean, I have the 1 ball, but still. So, you know, 11 is in the back. It's in a good spot. It's not really in the back. It's a terrible spot. I just like to improve it when I can.
So people are asking, they're questioning the 5-inch pockets. Isn't that what he's playing on with that 9-foot gold crown?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It is 5-inch pockets, because I believe that's what Jason Shaw had when he broke the record. It was with 5-inch pockets.
You're not going to run that many balls in 4.5-inch pockets. No one's ever done it.
Right.
You know, when Mosconi was playing back in the days, the pockets they used were massive. I mean, they were bigger than 5-inch. You know, the side pockets. Did you know that you know, a lot of people don't know that side pockets have always been bigger than the corner pockets?
Correct, because like I have 4.5 with 5-inch side pockets.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. into that ball. And I completely changed my pattern. So now I'm looking at the 4, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15, and 6 on the side, right?
Sure.
You get that? 4, 7, 8, 13, 14, 15, 6.
Okay.
Right?
With the 11 ball as the break ball.
That's correct. I know, so like,
If you got a little thin on that one.
Short. I'm coming short.
That's a good shot.
It's a Zelda hair. Even Zelda's trying to shark me.
So it looks like we have split between John. John will be able to do it versus John won't be able to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason why I believe John will do it is because there's no quit in him. When he's determined to do something, he usually does it. And he's one of the most persistent people I ever met in my life, man. Without a doubt, one of the top, most persistent players that ever lived. That's how he got the 626 to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And also because, I think that what John did, and this is going to sound crazy, was actually a little more difficult than what Jason did. Why am I saying that? Because Jason did it with the template rack. John did it with a regular rack. So you have to hope that every single one of those racks that he got was good enough to break up in a nice manner, whereas with the template rack, you're pretty much guaranteed to break up the balls all
Right.
the time. So now that he's doing it with the template rack, it leads me to believe that he has an even better chance, a greater chance to do it. Hey, I did a little Chris with the cue ball time. Let me see if I can get that 12 ball out of there.
That's a good shot.
With sound effects too.
Let's see. Craig wants to know if you think there's anybody else that could threaten the record.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I'm pretty good friends with Feder Gorse, and I sent Feder a message telling him I think he has one of the best cue balls I've ever seen in my entire life. His cue ball control is ridiculous. I said if he lets me work with him in straight ball, like last year when he lost to Joshua Field in the final, the American 14.1. He asked me to help him with break shots and stuff like that because he's still struggling with that a little bit. So he's going to try to come to Miami later this year with Christina so that I can work with both of them in straight pool.
Nice.
I think if anyone can do it, I think he can. I mean, his cue ball is beyond ridiculous. I mean, I honestly believe that if he learned certain things and kept working at it, he could run 1,000.
Nice.
And I'm talking about with the cue ball control he has.
Mm-hmm.
Because, that's what made Mosconi great. I had a buddy of mine that was the biggest Mosconi fan I'd ever seen. And he said that he once watched him do 3 exhibitions 3 nights in a row in 3 different pool halls. All 3 nights. The first night, he won the lag. His opponent broke 150 and out. Second night, he won the lag. The opponent broke, left him a shot, 150 and out. But what do you think he did the third night? The same exact thing. And he said when he did it a third night in a row, he said he started questioning whether or not Mosconi was human. and people don't understand. He was very well known for his cue ball control. His cue ball control, it's same thing. He's the one that told me that when you minimize the movement of the cue ball, you maximize your run-out potential. You could put a dime on the table, he'll shoot a shot, and he'll land within that dime.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good he was. But that's why he was so. He ran so many balls so many times. If he decided that he wanted to do more than that, kind of like what John's doing, he would have done 600, 700, no problem with the cue ball. but he chose not to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's not like he wasn't good enough to do it. He was.
One of my old buddies, Carlos Cruz, wants to know if you still have the New York City Mucci cue.
No, my brother has it. Yeah, my brother. But thank you for remembering that.
Craig wants to know who is your icon.
What happened?
Craig wants to know who is your icon. Like who is someone, you know, your GOAT, your Mount Rushmore of pool.
Who I consider the greatest player that ever lived in straight pool Moscone, and best all-around player that ever lived, Efren Reyes. Yeah, Efren is a total legend, man. Let's see if I can make that. That 13 goal? This is when you get it's so tempting to shoot the wrong shot sometimes. This is my first rack, right? Is this my second rack? This is my second rack? I don't know.
I honestly don't know. I think this is your first rack. Dag Perso wants to know orange 5 or purple 5.
Orange 5 all day, every day. Forever and ever and ever. It's ridiculous what they've done with that ball. Rest in peace, 5. Man, I can't draw the ball. It's crazy. You have a bridge, right?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I'm moving all over the place, bro. I think I'm playing tired. Listen, if I don't get anything going, I'm coming back tomorrow.
Yeah, let me remind everybody that Tony got off of a flight today, coming from Florida to Texas. So this is right after getting off the plane.
Hey, look at this. Little buddy of mine over here decided to show up.
Break ball position. So actually, Craig thinks that you are on the second rack, so you're currently working on 28.
Okay.
So that would,
Bouncy.
yeah, so that puts you on 28.
Okay. Now this is a good old in-betweener.
Nice. Now, when it comes to break shots, is there anything that you use to determine? Like, to me, it sounded like you hit that rather softly,
Yeah.
and there was the cue ball barely moved, but you still got a good spread. So,
Right.
what allows you to know whether to hit soft, medium, or hard?
It's good that you asked that question. I'm going to tell you why, right? I was going to go between the top two balls, right? So let's say these two balls are over here, right? Let's say the break shot required me to go in between these two balls,
Okay.
right? If I went in between these two balls, it's easier for me to come off this ball and that ball to come in a straight line. But what happens is when I'm that close to the rack and I'm going in between the balls, if I happen to hit this one and hit the top ball, I had no possible ball to prevent me from scratching over there sometimes.
Okay.
You see, because sometimes if you come off this ball on the thick side, you're barely going to hit that ball, the top ball, and it could create an angle to take you straight into the corner. So I wanted to make sure, in other words, let me show you after, when I miss, I'll show you exactly what I'm talking
Sure.
about. I can explain it better. So over here, look, I got the 7. 7 is gonna hit the 4, and it's gonna go right in between those. It's gonna hit the 14, the 3. 3 is gonna go towards the 1, probably come out, and bump the 15 a bit. So I'm playing position for the 11 in the same pocket as the 7. That's all I'm doing.
Nice.
Now with the 10 and the 13 go here. I kind of like that 3 ball as a break shot too, a lot. I just don't really have a key ball. Okay, so I'm going to play the 2 next. Now watch this, Chris. A lot of times when I have a shot like this, I'll do something. A lot of times you can shoot this, shoot the 15, shoot this, that, and that. That's minimizing the movement of the cue ball. But sometimes I'll get greedy. I'll shoot this and I'll draw it towards in between the 5 and the 9 so that I can try to put the 9 here as the key ball for the 3 ball. Because I know if the cue ball stops here, I'm either going to end up with one of these here or one of those there.
Okay.
You see, so if that's the case, it's worth the risk.
Okay.
Slide, not too far. You see? So now I have the 15, and I can still do the original pattern. Boom, 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 and then work my way back down here.
Okay.
Let me see, does that 5 go in the corner? Does it go on the side? Nope. So that we got another dummy ball, the 5 ball. And that 1 ball's in a bad spot too. I don't like where that 1 ball is.
Billy Jack, I will ask your question when Tony gets out of this rack.
Trying to see if I can shoot that 2 ball now. Maybe out of the 1 ball. I kind of like using the 1 ball. That's risky. Get on top of the 9. Oh, Mount Everest is in effect. So I'm thinking here, Chris, the 1, 12, 14, use a 14 to come here for the 10 and the 13, and then use the 10 and the 13 to get straight on the 6 so that I can shoot the 5 ball and just come out.
Stun over for the 3. Okay.
For the 3 ball. Let me not be lazy. That's why I miss.
Get your extension. Brian Stone, I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Hope everybody's enjoying watching Tony here try to break down this rack. This is his 3rd rack going for 42.
Whatever you do, don't play lazy pool.
So see over here, this is another thing. If I decide to go here, there, and try to stop in between these balls, I can hit it pretty good. You know, I could do a stop shot, and then come here. I don't like that. I think it's better just going 1, 2, and try to get here. If I don't get perfect, I still at least have the 3 ball. Worst case scenario, I'm gonna have to figure something out. I hope I don't. But I like that option better, simply because, well, actually, if I stop here, yeah. See, if the 5 went there, I would take the risk. But the 5 doesn't go there, that's a problem.
Right.
So that's why I'm deciding to go the 2 rail route. But the other thing that I can do is hit it soft. Just roll it in. Thing is that when you shoot this, you have to, feel comfortable hitting it soft, but hit it so soft that the inside spin doesn't grab the way you hope it would, that you don't mess up the 3 too badly if you run into it. Right?
Nice.
So now, I just draw it back a bit, get straight on the 6 ball, and then shoot it in the side and stop it there. 5 ball. See, and I didn't draw it. I didn't draw it, now I'm on the wrong side of the ball game.
Okay, cool. So you got in the position that I was hoping you were to get into. So here's a question from Billy Jack. He says he would like you to explain why you line up your pool stick to where you're going to hit on the break and how you know the angle to pocket the last ball.
Say that again?
So I'll read it verbatim. It says, Chris, could you explain as to why he lines up the pool stick to where he's going to hit on the break? So you're basically doing how you're gonna hit the rack, and then how he knows his angles to pocket the last ball. I mean, that answer is nothing more than just playing position. I mean, knowing your angles is playing position as far as
I
I'm
know the
concerned.
patterns because I've been playing pool for 43 years. The first game I learned was straight pool, so I've been playing straight pool for 43. I mean, even though I gave up playing for 12 years when I played on the Pro Tour full-time 9-ball, still, I know the game for almost 43 years.
Yeah.
So, after Mosconi told me that minimizing the movement of the cue ball will maximize your run-out potential, I just started looking for just patterns. And my dad used to think I was going nuts because I would literally, after shooting a break shot, sit down in a chair sometimes 20, 25, 30 minutes, and I would not move until I figured out every single way to move the cue ball as little as possible. Until eventually I just started seeing them. And then you should see me play 8-ball. And 8-ball is the same thing. Little movements.
Right.
Because the patterns that show up in 8-ball are identical to the patterns that show up in straight pool. Now this one, I'm on the thick side. Since I'm on the thick side, I'm gonna have to smash this one, and I have to be careful because I'm gonna hit the bottom of the 2-ball. So since I'm gonna hit the bottom of the 2-ball, I'm gonna hit the cue ball slightly below the center because I don't want to end up scratching in the same pocket as a 3-ball.
Right.
And again, since I have a fuller hit, I have to hit it with speed.
Nice. We have a shot.
I have the 7. I'm going to run into the 10 and then the 5-ball. And once I hit the 5-ball, the cue ball is going to hit the long rail and probably go back towards the see, if you go like this, hit like this, hit the 10, and then hit the 5, the cue ball might hit here and go up this way. So there's a chance I might not end up with the 1-ball because I'm not going to hit this soft. I've been trying to break it up so that way I'll have a possible. This is one of those rare moments where I really don't know what my next shot is going to be. But it's a rare moment because I almost always know what my next shot is.
So this is the hit hard and hope moment.
Yeah. And the key here is just to focus on hitting with follow. You don't really want any spin on this. And focus on hitting the ball. But you see how the cue ball came exactly where I told you it was going to come after it hit the 5?
Very nice.
Fortunately for me, I wound up with a shot, but that's messed up. So now, what I'm thinking, man, if I can get over here and get rid of that 15, it'll give me the opportunity to come here and shoot the 9 and break that up. Because if I try to just go there now and I break it up, now I got to deal with a combo.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a tricky one because I don't exactly have an angle on the 2-ball here to get to the 15.
So the other option that I have is shoot a stop shot on the 2. Try to shoot the one ball afterwards, and then leave the 2 in the pocket after I make the 5, and then try to get position on the 2 to go down there for the 9 ball. Because another mistake people make sometimes. Let's say the 15 was here, wasn't here, and it was there. A lot of times they'll hit this ball, hit the 15, trying to break this up. Bad mistake. Because you have to hit that ball so perfectly square coming off the rail to make sure you hit the cluster. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times you hit the side and the cue ball ends up here or ends up scratching in the side or in the corner. So that combination really isn't as bad as I thought it was. I might consider playing position on the 9 ball off the 2 ball. Well, not anymore. It's just unbelievable. I just got really bad on that ball. I mean, this was going to be the original plan, but I would have never rolled it if I would have known I was going to do that. All right, hey, time for going to the gusto. I just got to make sure I avoid scratching here or there. I'm going to go for it. I'm going to try to hit as close to this pocket as possible to run right in between those.
Okay. Oh!
Okay, as long as you don't scratch and I'm alive, I'm good.
Right?
So let me see if I can come off that 13 to the point where it'll take me right towards that 12 or the 15. A little bit of inside. Towards the 15, there you go.
That's just too good.
Told you, I don't like to play accidental pool. I like to know what I'm doing when I'm running into these clusters, right? See, now I can shoot that combo, and if I can get just the right angle on the 9 ball.
Uh-oh.
No, I needed to hit it like that in order to salvage an angle to run into this.
Right.
Because I'm trying to maintain that as a guide goal. See, now that's a potential break shot there.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can try to use Le Cuatro to break those up. And that's another thing, that you don't necessarily have to always do that. A lot of times, if you get rid of this 4 ball and decide not to go into that cluster, the 10 now goes here, the 12 ball goes there. You think about this one a bit. See, because every time I try to scheme, I'm always scheming. I try to see, if there's a way for me to create a break shot while having a guy go, and I don't really have that now. Because if I go like this and shoot the 14, shoot the 12 here, and move that, after I already got rid of those 2, that is, right? I don't really have a Geico. And even if I did leave the 10 there after getting rid of the 4 and got here, run into the 10, I'm going to end up on this side of the 10. It's going to be like an impossible shot. So I'm taking all of this into consideration before I consider leaving this as a break shot. Right? If I leave the cue ball over here, I might have a shot here. That might be my best bet right there. So my best bet might be to leave the cue ball in the rack. Which means I should play the 13 next. But I didn't want to get straight. Yep, not on Chris's table. All right, let me come up with another plan. I think I figured something out on here. Just make sure that you secure more, man.
Did
I
you
was
want
gonna
to?
shoot the combo so the 8 will stop there, and I have the 10 ball there, but I don't have the correct angle for that. Yeah, that's a bad angle. No, I can't control the cue ball. Okay. I forgive myself. That's what you're supposed to do. Slow down.
Very nice. Wow.
You know that 8 ball is in the rack, but I still don't like where it's at.
That's
I
not.
try to get straight on it so
Yeah,
that I can
good.
just stop it in the rack, so then I didn't. So now I'm gonna have to. Let me think about
Can
this.
you inside spin it back to the rack, or is that too difficult?
No, it's too difficult. You have to hit it with perfect speed. I either have to leave the cue ball here if I feel I can't get enough draw for that shot, or leave it there. I like drawing past it. There you go.
All right, and that's the fourth rack.
Yeah,
Tony
so-
now has 56.
That's better than leaving it behind the rack, actually.
So here's a question. I believe this is from one of my locals. He says he wants to know how you're able to maintain focus during a long match, like if you're playing a race to 11 in 9-ball. So, like,
The
what?
best way to do that is to focus only on yourself, not on your opponent, and especially not on your mistakes.
Okay.
Because by doing that, you're conserving your energy. All it takes is for you to get just a little tired and you lose focus for that millisecond, and that one shot you miss turns the entire set around. That's one of the biggest things that I learned about playing competition 9-ball throughout the years. Listen, I had people say, I had top players come to me, I can't believe I got to play Filipino first round. But if you can't believe you're playing, why are you joining the tournament?
Right.
You know, if you feel like you're going to waste your energy on that instead of focusing on your game. For years I said, Chris, that it's okay to respect your opponent. But when someone announced my match, let's say, for example, Johnny Archer, a buddy of mine, Johnny Archer versus Tony Robles. Johnny Archer, 5-time world champion. Tony Robles, New York City. You might be a 5-time champion, but prove it.
Right.
That's my attitude. Prove it. Guess what? If you beat me and I play you again, prove it again.
Right.
That's what I'm always going to say. Prove it again. You know, because you have to give yourself the best. And like I said, it's okay to respect your opponent, especially if they're a world champion. But when you're in a match with them, once you respect their game more than yours, you have zero shot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what people fail to realize too is if I'm playing Efren Reyes, who's shooting for me, Efren or me?
Right.
I'm shooting for myself. It's up to me, not up to Efren to win. Right? He
Yeah.
wins for himself, I win for myself. So again, you have to focus on yourself. And too many people think too much about who they're playing. What if I miss a shot? Leave him easy shot. Whatever. Should I play a two-way shot? Whatever. Don't play not to win. Don't play not to win. Play to win.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of like shooting a two-way combo where you focus more on hitting the cue behind another ball, and then you miss a combo and hit the ball and leave him a shot anyway and hang the 9. Right.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I tell people, listen. If a complete amateur who's just starting to learn how to play the game, or they've been playing for 2-3 years, jumps into a major tournament, you have no idea how much I admire them for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're showing me that they're willing to get into the mix despite the fact they don't have the experience, but they also understand that you have to start getting your feet wet and building experience at some point, whether it's 3 years into the game, 5 years, 7. But I think the sooner you do it, the quicker you learn how to, have that kind of mindset.
Is that pretty much why you would see, like, our most of the top elite players are very stoic
Yeah.
when they're playing?
Yeah.
Like they literally almost like show no emotions
Yeah.
when they're playing. Yeah.
That's exactly right, yeah. See, over here, I have an angle that if I overcut it, there is a chance I might hit this side of the 14. This is a very, very tricky angle because if you hit it with follow, actually, no, you know what? I think I might hit it. If I hit it hard enough, I might be able to follow a tangent line. I'm just going to hit it with pure follow.
Okay.
But I don't care where the cue ball's going. I don't care about how I'm breaking the rack. All I care about is making that ball.
Mm-hmm.
Because how many times have we missed the break shot because we're worried about breaking the ball. Well, what do you think about breaking the balls? You're gonna break them anyway.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why you have to make a clear decision as to what part of the rack you're going to hit, because by understanding what part of the rack you're going to hit, you can now focus your attention to making the ball. But if you're thinking about both at the same time, you're going to miss a lot of break shots.
So hopefully that should answer some questions that I've seen about, like, when you're trying to figure out where the ball's going to go into the rack, so that way you just eventually figure out how you're going to shoot the shot.
Come on. Now, come on. I don't think I have a shot. Do I?
10 ball?
In the side pocket. Oh, that's a 9 ball. Never mind. That's how I pronounce my words when I taught myself how to spell in school. I pronounced it exactly the way they were written. No, I'm going to play the 9 ball. And then play position for the 15 or the 6 next.
Oh, wiped its feet on the way in.
Well, I mean, I got to make it exciting for you guys. Let me see what I have here before I make decision. Well, I definitely don't like Mount Everest here because I have no.
So if I'm understanding what Lonnie is saying, he's going to be doing exactly what you're talking about because he's playing in the Big Time Classic.
Who's that?
The guy that asked the question about maintaining focus, he's going to be playing at the Big Time Classic in Houston.
That's amazing. I wish you the best of luck. And try that not just for this tournament, do it for every tournament until you build that mindset. It's all about mindset. Mm-hmm. If you go, why do you think when a top player like Filler or Jason Shaw, these guys are shocked when they miss a ball?
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't expect to miss it to begin with.
Right.
So there's a big difference between approaching a ball and says, what if I miss it? Am I going to make it? Am I going to miss it? Am I overcut it? Am I going to undercut it? Or I'm just going to make the ball.
Right.
You're going to trust your ability. And even if, I don't care, listen, I don't care. Look at me. Look how stubborn-headed I am. I can get past the first rack. Now I'm almost at 70 with this rack if I clear this rack. Because what I did before that doesn't bother me. I learned how to get over it right away. And that's why I believe John is going to beat the 714. Right? Because he has that in spades.
Well said.
All right, let me see where that 4 ball looks good. My goal is to run 78.
Okay, because you're currently on past.
Because your high is 79, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to beat your high on your stream. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. My goal is to run 78.
Well, you're currently past 56 right now.
Well, let me look at that combo. That combo's a little on the tricky side, but I think it's doable. I just want to end up on top of the. There you go. Nice. Okay. So let me look at this situation here. I kind of like that 10 ball, and I know that, once I get rid of that 10 ball, this is another thing. See, a lot of times a player will go like this. He'll shoot this, leave an angle on the 6, and run into that. Perform surgery.
Okay.
Right? Remember we spoke about performing surgery?
Yep.
This gets me to the 13. The 13 helps me break this out while preserving that break shot.
Okay.
And then eventually I could end up boom, 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 and then boom to get on the 10 ball.
Okay.
You see? Potentially, right? So before I make that decision, I have to figure out, am I going to shoot the combo first? Yeah, I'm going to shoot the combo to get rid of that problem from there. Another rule that I had, if you're here, right, and the cue ball happens to be right here, it doesn't make sense to shoot that combo. It makes better sense to shoot that, not only because you're still going to get great position, but because what are the odds of you putting it exactly there?
Right.
So a lot of times that comes up when you're down here. When you're down here, if you're straight on that 6, what are the odds, and the 6 doesn't go in any of these pockets, what are the odds of you getting up there if you still have a lot of balls left? Shoot it while you can, especially in the beginning of the rack.
Right.
Okay, let me get the bridge. feel like I'm gonna pass out. I'm running on fumes, but I'm enjoying it. You know.
Well, you let me know when you're ready to
No,
call it
I'm
a
good.
night.
I'm good. I just hope my wife isn't watching this stream. I told you to go to sleep. What are you doing? This is why you get sick.
So, young Tran, I can almost answer that for you because the question is, do you prefer wooden shafts or carbon fiber shafts? He is playing with a wooden shaft that has a carbon fiber core. So, it's pretty much a hybrid.
Oh wow, that ball's skipping on me.
I heard it.
Whoa! And I got exactly where I needed to get on the one. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, because I heard the skid. I was watching the stream and I heard the skid. So now you have your position on the 13.
And then either the 8 on the side or the 12 in the corner, right? But worst case scenario, I'll draw it back just a bit, just in case, so that I can end up with a 14, just in case, right?
That's just too good.
So now I have too much angle on that 8 ball. I'd rather go back and forth. Just make sure I don't end up on top of the 14. Another skid?
Another skid.
Wow.
So I'm going to have to ask you this because I can see all the blue spots on my cue ball.
Yeah, no, you know when we played in the World Straight Pool and we asked the referee to clean, they cleaned the ball.
Okay.
They cleaned the ball at the end of the rack. So I'm probably going to end up doing that after this rack because I already had 2 skid. I'm afraid of slow rolling this one. I have to slow roll this one. I don't even know if this one is going to skid.
Yep.
Because, I mean, I have a bad angle here. Well, let's turn that bad angle into a good angle.
Good shot.
Now, the thing here is always take the extra time and come here to make absolutely sure because if you end up straight on this, you got to draw it back and you end up with kind of like this awkward angle. You want to at least make sure you get here so you can come off the rail.
Yep.
You know?
We had that conversation. Alright, so while you're racking, I'll clean the cue ball for
Okay.
you.
So what am I, on 70?
That's 70 right there.
So all I gotta do is pocket 8 more balls and stop, right?
I would probably be amazed if you can actually pull off a century. I'm sure everybody else would probably be amazed if you can pull off a century.
This is my game, man. I love straight pool. You know what's funny? A lot of people don't know this. So last time we had the World Straight Pool in New Jersey, I was at the banquet that they did before the tournament started, and you know they were talking about players, whatever players meetings, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, I'm determined to win this tournament because, you know, this is my game. I was on a microphone talking about Bro Herring, who's an amazing straight pool player, old timer. And I said, I'm determined to win the tournament. I lost to Thorsten in the final. I made it to the final that year. It was the only time I made it to the final of the World Straight Pool, and I lost. You know?
Oh, wow.
And Thorsten hit me with 137. I still love you, though, kid, man. No, we're like brothers, man. Toasty and I, we're like, he's so amazing. He really is. Not just as a player, but as a person.
I saw a video of him where I think he ran 200.
Yeah.
But he always made sure that the break ball was behind the rack.
Yeah, I know. How
Like,
strong is that?
that was incredible
I know,
to watch.
That's unbelievable.
He purposely made sure that every rack, the break ball was behind the
because
rack.
His cue ball is that good.
Yeah.
And that's why I told you that if Federer learns certain things, I'm telling you, I predict he's going to run 1,000. And I think it's just a matter of time because people don't understand. Oh, no one could break Mosconi record. But let me ask you this. The record held for 65 years. Who's the only player that tried to break that record consistently in 65 years? John Schmidt.
Right.
That's why he broke it.
Right.
Then when other players saw that, they were inspired to try it.
Yep.
Oh, well, I think I can do it. Jason Shaw's one of the greatest shot makers ever lived. He broke it.
Yep.
Right? And when I saw him do the 714, I knew right then and there it's possible to do 1,000.
Right.
And believe me, Joshua Filler, another one that I consider one of the greatest shot makers to ever play the game. He's only 24 years old. He's already won every major title you can win in pool. The World Pool Masters he just won the other day. He won the World Cup of Pool last year. He won the World 9-Ball Championship, the World 10-Ball Championship, the U.S. Open. It's like he has no worlds left to conquer.
Right?
You know, it's like if he retired now, he could say, I won everything under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he's not going to retire. He loves the game too much. Anyway, I'm going to run into this one directly, so that means I can unleash.
Okay.
Follow. But, you know, just for you guys out there, right? This is one of the trickiest break shots in straight pool. When you're slightly above the rack and you have an angle where you're going to hit this ball directly, every once in a while, if you hit the ball to this side of the pocket, you will hit this side of the ball. And if you're on a brand new cloth and you hit it that full, like 3/4 of the ball, this cue ball will go like this. Take a dip, make a U-turn, and scratch straight in that corner pocket, as long as you don't run into another ball.
I believe Shortstop on Pool actually has a video where that happened to him. He did exactly what you described.
I'm always careful with this, especially on the new cloth. And it's not impossible here. You just have to hit it really good. So let's see if I hit it really good.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, so what am I, at 70 now?
Yes, this is currently 70.
Okay, so I have 8 more to go and I'm done.
I'm rooting for a century because I would love to see a century live. Oh.
I hit on the other side, if anything. I hit on the other side, the opposite side. All right, let's talk. Boom, boom. I prefer my break shot a little closer and a little lower, but I'll take that. Now, the other possibility is go like this and make sure, see, this is another thing, see? Right here, I can easily come off the rail and bump the 15 here. The problem with that is if I hit it too good, well, it doesn't matter. I end up with the 7 anyway. I prefer not to shoot the 7 because it has a little more angle than what I would like, but I would prefer to shoot the 5. And the only way I'm going to shoot the 5 is if I hit the bottom of the 15, which is not a bad thing because even if I hit it thin, the cue ball escapes here and I can end up with a 12. So my goal here is to move the 15, but hitting the bottom of it, not dead square. I just remember this is Chris' table, and the spin grabs really well. And I love it. I'm not complaining about it. I love it. So I have to take that into consideration when I shoot this ball. Right?
Very nice. Very nice.
I mean, it's still a little bit on the low side. If I want to, I can be a little pushy and move it again with the 12 ball after I shoot the 7. But I don't know if it's necessary. I mean, I might be able to do it here, but I'm not going to take that risk. Take what the table gives you. You know, that's from an old song. It says, shake what your mama gave you. Take what the table gives you. So I'm just basically trying to map out the pattern. See which way I'm going to attack this because I know the 9 does go here, the 8 ball does go here, and let me see the 3 ball because I can also shoot the yeah. See, I can't shoot the 12 ball and then run into this because then if the 9 ball blocks me, I'm screwed.
Right.
I'm not afraid of the shot. I can't control the ball. It's too thin of a hit. Wondering if I should shoot the 15 next and then the 9 ball. Nah, don't do that. Leave the 15 just in case. See, I'm having difficulty because I really want the 9 to go there, but the 12 is preventing me. That's why I want to get rid of that 12 soon. So I'll probably shoot the 7, the 12, and then the 5 to get to the 9. Nah, you know what? Forget about that. I'm just going to shoot the 5 and run into them now because I have too many Geicos here. I have the 7 there, I have the 12 there, 5 there. This is why I'm thinking about it. See, I didn't really think about that route because I was so focused on the 12 and the 7, I didn't consider the 5 ball. And this is a perfect example of what I told you, that sometimes by taking the slightly more difficult shot, it makes it run out easier, where if you take the easier shot, which would be the 7 or the 12, especially the 7, it makes it a little trickier.
Okay.
When I could just attack it now.
Very nice. The 9 ball's in a good break ball position.
Yeah, it's pretty much parallel, if anything, higher than the 15. So that's going to be my break ball. Now, this is what I was talking about earlier. I'm not straight on the 8, but had I been straight on the 8, I would shoot that 8 in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Because I'm already there. What are the odds of me getting exactly there again? Even though I know it goes here, once I shoot the 7, regardless, minimizing the movement.
Yep.
Right? That's how you do it. So I don't have to get on this side, try to get rid of this, and use one of these to get to the 9 ball. You know, I don't know if I told you this. I went to Beyond Billiards to do a straight pool clinic to raise money for Jeanette Lee when she announced that she had cancer. And I set up a break shot, and I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And I just kept saying, look, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, whatever. Next thing you know, like 30, 35 minutes later, someone threw a $100 bill on the table. And I said, what's that for? I said, well, I told everyone if you run 100, I'm going to give you a $100 bill. I ran 103 balls, and I had no idea that I ran 103 balls. Giving a clinic, I'm doing it again. But this is the thing. When I was doing that, I told you earlier that the day that I started running a lot of balls was when I stopped thinking about how many I'm running.
Right.
I think I might have told Andrew Jaworski this. I think I did. I don't remember. But I told you, we were talking about this earlier when we were thinking about what we're going to do with the stream. You know, every time you ask me, when do you start consistently getting when I start thinking, how many times did I told you that I ran 150? One time I even ran 212, and I'm thinking I'm like 150. He said, no, you're at 212. Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And if he didn't tell me, I wouldn't have known. Because when I get in that zone and I start burning the rod, you know, just in case you know, tell me what burning the rug means. When you're running around the table and you're in stroke and you're just feeling it and everything just looks easy.
Yeah.
That's what I call burning the rug. Anyway. All right, getting back to this. By the way, when is Bob going to do his 200? Because I want to watch it when he does that again. Yeah, I love. He has such great patterns. I love watching Bob play, man. He knows his stuff.
I haven't seen him pop in the chat, so I don't know if he's still watching or not. But I can message him later.
Okay. All right, let's get back. Let's get back on the attack. So this is what I'm thinking about. 3, 8, 15. Use a 15 to get on the 13. Hold on 1 second. There's one little factor. This one. 3, 8, 15. Use this to get to the 2. Use the 2 to get to 11. Use 11 to come here for the 14. Use the 14 to get there for the 1.
Okay.
Right? So again, 3, 8, 15. Try to get straight on this or slight angle. And, you know, worst case scenario, if I get straight, I can either roll it here for the 2 or stop it and shoot the 2 and come out here for the 11. Use the 11 to come here for the 14. Stop, stop, break.
Did y'all get all that?
I almost took my eye off that ball. I did. I realized that as I was short. I almost took my eye off that ball to watch a cue ball. No bueno. See, I gotta stop it more or less where it's at right now. Now this is the exception to the rule, right? This is the one that I told you where that 15 right there be such an easy pattern. I screwed that one up. Yeah, I definitely didn't get straight there. Change your plans. So look, here, come off the rail, get straight on the 13, stop, then 11, 14, 1. So it's like I'm doing the same thing, but from the other side of the table, right?
Right.
Well, I got a little more angle than what I wanted, but I'm okay. Let me see something. I did get good. So now I'm going to change the pattern again. 13, 14, 11, 1. I said 13, 14, 11, 1, so don't freeze.
So why not 111?
I can do that, but I like to maintain close vicinity.
Okay.
Because, you know, even though I'm running all these balls, I'm still not 100% comfortable.
Okay.
I'll always be the first one to tell you that. You can tell when I'm comfortable, because when I'm comfortable, as soon as I see the patterns, I don't even talk. Boom, 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 boom. Break shot, boom, 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 break shot. That's when I get into my comfort zone.
Right. And just so you know, Tony, that's
I forgot
84.
about that. I'm sorry, bro.
Don't stop. Don't
Man, now I feel bad. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break Chris' record on this table.
Yeah, please don't stop. I can say, like, because it is getting late, I can say, like, if you manage to get to 100, because I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that wants to see it, we can pretty much probably stop after that, because since it is starting to get late.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to stop till I miss. I never stop till I
Okay,
miss.
for sure. No, for sure, for sure.
All right, so here, I'm going to hit the bottom of that 7, see, and on the thick side. So this is a very dangerous shot, because whenever you're going to hit the bottom of the 7 on the thick side as opposed to the thin side, like almost in between both balls, if you hit it with draw, a lot of times it'll act like shooting a draw shot from here, the slight angle, and the cube winds up scratching there. That's what you did earlier, remember? Mm-hmm. So I have to be, this is a very touching one. This one has to be hit with the right speed and with not too much draw, but the thing is that if you don't hit it with enough draw, you could scratch off the 4 in the corner.
Right.
That's why this is a tough one. I love it. No. My tip came up as I went to stroke the ball. Accidentally, I wasn't thinking about it, but that's exactly what happened. That's what I told them. I'm telling you, I know my stuff. The thing is that I should have just taken the risk. I should have took the risk scratching there.
Yeah.
Because I think it's less likely that I'm going to scratch there than very likely that I scratch there.
Oh, no.
Anyway, I mean, I had fun. That was awesome.
So that pretty much ends it with an 84. Oh my goodness, that was ridiculous.
It'll give me motivation for 100 tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
Right?
So yeah, so we're pretty much going to end the stream for the night. Tony, if you want to stand in front of this camera so you can address anybody. All I could say is we currently have 153 people in here.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you to everyone for tuning in and for supporting Chris's channel, because he does, as I said in the beginning of the stream, he's done an amazing job in a very short time, couple of years. And I think he really deserves to get to that 100,000 subs, actually, to get that special YouTube,
Yeah, I'm
award.
really
So,
trying to work towards
please
it.
tell your friends about it so they can subscribe, and hopefully we'll help him get there sooner rather than later. More importantly, I really hope that most of you were able to get something out of this. It was a lot of fun to do. We'll be back tomorrow, and I'm kind of glad I didn't get to 100, to be honest with you. It motivates me to come back tomorrow. Again, when you make a mistake, accept it and do the best that you can from that point on, and you'll become a champion a lot quicker. You literally shave years off the learning process if you do it that way, especially in the mental game. Have a good night, everyone.
Yep, because I can only tell you that how many times I'm going to be rewatching this stream to try to make sure that I absolutely learn everything that we talked about tonight. But for now, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. I'm pretty sure Tony's probably exhausted after coming off of his flight. We will come back tomorrow night for an exhibition match, and we'll just discuss the details of the exhibition match from there, and then we'll just try to figure out where to go from there. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm glad to see how many people are still here at the end, because usually it starts to tailor off towards the end. But just make sure to come back tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.